Chapter 3:18. Contest of Wills. Seeing Nangong Long's performance, the Empress Dowager was very satisfied. She casually glanced at Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu heard the Empress Dowager's faint voice. Zhao Yu, did you see that? This is Nangong Long's talent and potential. Only Nangong Long is worthy of you. Zhao Yu remained indifferent and completely ignored the Empress Dowager's words. She wasn't even interested in looking at Nangong Long. At this moment, there was only one person in Zhao Yu's eyes, and that was Yi Fei. Her expression followed the rhythm of Yi Fei's battle, revealing emotions of worry, nervousness, and concern. However, when faced with Nangong Long, who was right before her, Zhao Yu only felt coldness and disgust. The more Nangong Long showed off, the more Zhao Yu disliked him. Why? Why is it that she won't even look at me when I've already reached this stage? Is it because I, Nangong Long, am not talented enough? Am I not strong enough? Nangong Long kept an eye on Zhao Yu's reaction as he fought Yi Fei. He soon realized that no matter how much he flaunted his 10th grade D-rank talent or the potential of his demon flood dragon body, he couldn't get any attention from Zhao Yu. Nangong Long was finally enraged. I know it's all because of you. Because of a piece of trash like you. As long as I defeat you, Zhao Yu will turn her attention to me. Her body and mind will return to my side. Yi Fei, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Rumble. The destructive power of a martial honorable was extremely terrifying. The furious Nangong Long was even more terrifying. His pitch-black demonic fists, one after another, were able to shatter mountains and break rivers as they continuously bombarded Yi Fei's body. Yi Fei's battle demon golden body shattered again and again. Facing Nangong Long's all-out attack, even Yi Fei's 7 killing fists found it difficult to withstand. Even so, Yi Fei did not retreat. He did not speak. He only gritted his teeth and charged forward again and again to fight Nangong Long. He didn't care that his fists were cracked, and he didn't care that his body was covered in blood. He was still fighting. The silence of the battle was terrifying. All of the civil and military officials were looking at Yi Fei, as were the soldiers. The 4 old eunuchs stopped fighting the emperor. Their mouths were wide open, and their eyes were wide as they stared at the 2 young men fighting in the sky, who seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth. It was a battle between a half-step martial venerable and a martial venerable. Surprisingly, Yi Fei did not take a single step back. Even though he defended more than he attacked, and his golden body shattered again and again, Yi Fei still managed to withstand Nangong Long's torrential demonic fists. Furthermore, when Nangong Long was adjusting his quintessence, he finally found a flaw in Nangong Long's defense. 7 kills breaking the heavens. Rumble. Yi Fei gathered all his strength and blasted out the strongest punch of the 7 kill fists. His killing intent and anger caused Yi Fei's fist to instantly smash through the air and land heavily on the bridge of Nangong Long's nose. Gotcha! The crowd could even hear the sound of Nangong Long's nose being broken. This was the first time Yi Fei had successfully counterattacked after taking so many punches from Nangong Long. Furthermore, his counterattack was so sharp and violent. Nangong Long groaned as he retreated rapidly with blood splattering from his nose. His face was filled with shock. How could this be? He had punched Yi Fei so many times. It was already good enough that Yi Fei was still alive. How could Yi Fei still be able to throw out such a terrifying punch and even cause him to bleed from his nose? Nangong Long, what are you doing? The Empress Dowager was furious. She could not tolerate the fact that Nangong Long had a nosebleed from a puny half-step martial venerable in front of everyone. Roar! Nangong Long was so angry that his entire body was about to explode. He had only been careless for a moment, yet he had been beaten into such a sorry state by the trash in his eyes. This was so embarrassing. Most importantly, this was in front of Zhao Yu. Unforgivable. Yi Fei, how dare you hit my face? Damn it, if I don't torture you to death today. My name is not Nangong Long. 50% fist intent, demonic heart destruction palm. The sky darkened as a terrifying demonic chi formed a huge palm. It tore through the void and instantly appeared in front of Yi Fei. It seemed as if it was going to smash Yi Fei into a pulp. A strong sense of danger rose in Yi Fei's heart. Yi Fei understood that this move could be Nangong Long's strongest attack. Otherwise, he would not have used his fist intent. Furthermore, Nangong Long was a martial venerable. Even a rank 3 or rank 4 martial venerable might not be able to block this move. However, Yi Fei did not back down. There was no need for him to back down. This was because he had not used his full strength either. Since you want to compete with our martial wills, I will accompany you to the end. I want to see if your fist intent or my sword intent is stronger. 50% sword intent, devouring sword intent. Yi Fei suddenly changed his fist and palm into a sword finger. Dazzling sword radiance shot out from Yi Fei's fingertip. It instantly formed a huge black hole and pointed towards Nangong Long's incoming fist. Using his fingers as a sword to launch a sword move? How is this possible? This Yi Fei has actually mastered the most powerful sword heart illumination of the sword peak. Nangong Long, be careful. The Empress Dowager was very knowledgeable. This was the first time she felt a huge threat from Yi Fei. Anyone who could comprehend the sword heart illumination would definitely become the next sword peak master of the Holy Land. Their status would even be on par with the Holy Master. The Empress Dowager could not believe that Yi Fei, who was so young and had such a low cultivation level, could comprehend the way of the sword to such an extent. She was shocked and immediately shouted to remind Nangong Long to be careful. However, at this moment Yi Fei also moved. He did not wait for Nangong Long to escape. The sword finger in his hand changed again. The sword heart illumination does not only allow me to comprehend the way of the sword. It also allows me to be without a sword in my hand, but with a sword in my heart. Nangong Long, you are very lucky to be the first to have a taste of my sword finger. Annihilation sword, devouring sky style. Kill! As Yi Fei shouted, the black hole space at his fingertips suddenly elongated like a silk thread, forming a pitch-black sword-shaped spatial crack. Yi Fei pointed his sword at Nangong Long and made a downward slash. Crack, 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 crack. Wherever the sword-shaped spatial crack passed, the space was silently split in half. Nangong Long's arm and body were also split in half. Finally, a transparent crack appeared neatly between Nangong Long's eyebrows. It rapidly spread from the center of his body. Nangong Long widened his eyes in horror. He stared at Yi Fei and then at his body that was gradually splitting apart. His eyes were filled with intense fear. What sword technique is this? Nangong Long asked with difficulty. Emperor's sword technique, annihilation sword. Yi Fei slowly retracted his sword finger. He put his hands behind his back and looked coldly at Nangong Long. So, that's how it is. My defeat is not unjustified. Nangong Long's eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness as his body completely exploded into two halves. Blood splattered all over the ground. It also sprayed on the Empress Dowager, who had rushed to Nangong Long's side. This noble and vicious woman's face was covered in blood. She had wanted to rush over to save Nangong Long's life, but all she saw was a corpse that had been split in half. Nangong Long is dead. My nephew, the top expert on the Een Demon list, the husband that I personally chose for you, is actually dead. The one who killed him is a mediocre ant. The Empress Dowager looked at Nangong Long's corpse that had been split in half. Chapter 319. The wooden sign shows its power. Yi Fei. The Empress Dowager was infuriated. Her anger caused the entire palace to tremble vigorously as the suppression of the 10th layer Martial Highness realm descended, causing the soldiers to drop to their knees. The emperor and the old government lords' faces turned pale. In the Zhao kingdom, the Empress Dowager was the heavens. Who could withstand the fury of a 10th martial honored realm cultivator? Why haven't the Holy Grounds experts appeared yet? The emperor and old manor lord were both frightened and confused. There won't be any experts from the Holy Lands. Yi Fei came alone. Zhao Yu looked at Yi Fei with a rare gentleness in her eyes. Even when everyone had abandoned her, Yi Fei did not abandon her. He had abandoned her in the Holy Land, but Yi Fei still did not give up on her. Although she didn't know how Yi Fei had managed to break out of the Holy Land and come here, Zhao Yu could imagine how much pressure Yi Fei had to bear in order to save her. As long as she knew this, Zhao Yu felt very happy and satisfied. She didn't make a mistake in befriending Yi Fei. Of course, Zhao Yu couldn't watch Yi Fei die like this. Empress Dowager, please let Yi Fei go. I'll go with you. I'll join the Heavenly Een cult with you. Zhao Yu took a step forward. Even though her cultivation was sealed, the princess still used her fastest speed to stand in front of Yi Fei. The Empress Dowager was stunned. Yi Fei was also shocked. He didn't have time to adjust his breathing. He just shouted at Zhao Yu, why did you come back? I told you to leave, so leave. No, I won't leave. Once I leave, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I can't let you die. Empress Dowager, I beg you. Let go of Yi Fei and I'll go with you. Zhao Yu pleaded as he looked at the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager laughed crazily. At this moment, how could she not know that there were no experts from the Holy Land hiding in the dark? Otherwise, when she decided to make a move, the experts from the Holy Land would have appeared to protect Yi Fei. However, the experts from the Holy Land did not appear. Instead, it was Zhao Yu who came to plead for leniency. The Empress Dowager felt a surge of anger. She was actually frightened by Yi Fei's bravado. She was the holy maiden of the Heavenly Een cult, the Empress Dowager who was unparalleled in strategy, but she had been tricked by a junior. She had even watched her nephew, Nangong Long, the most talented disciple of the Heavenly Een cult, get killed by Yi Fei. Puff. After figuring out these key points, the Empress Dowager, who was laughing wildly, was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, an infinitely terrifying cold, killing intent appeared on her body. Zhao Yu, I'm very sorry. I really want to agree to your request, but this Yi Fei must die. He dared to trick me and even killed Nangong Long. That despicable ant. The Empress Dowager instantly appeared in front of Zhao Yu and pushed him with her hand. Zhao Yu's body had already stiffened. She stood rooted to the ground, unable to move. She could only watch as the Empress Dowager passed by her. Her 10 long fingernails formed a silver crescent moon and stabbed toward Yi Fei's head. Yi Fei's expression changed instantly. The Empress Dowager had seen through his bravado. Now, this old witch even wanted to kill him. Kill. Without any hesitation, Yi Fei raised his sword finger again. An astonishing sword radiance with the power to suppress heaven and earth pointed at the Empress Dowager's terrifying claws. Sky Destroyer Sword, Sky Burying Style. Boom. Heaven and earth were suppressed at this moment. The surrounding space was completely frozen. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Fei stopped in his tracks and rushed toward Zhao Yu with his golden rock wings. Zhao Yu, come with me. Yi Fei stretched out his hand toward Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu did not hesitate and stretched out her hand toward Yi Fei. Their hands were about to touch. As long as he caught Zhao Yu, Yi Fei would be able to use his golden rock wings to soar into the sky and quickly escape from the Imperial City. But at this moment, a cold voice with shocking killing intent appeared behind Yi Fei. The Empress Dowager was shocked. Then, her shock turned into intense killing intent. The Emperor's sword technique. Yi Fei, you really surprised me. If you hadn't killed Nangong Long, I would have hoped that a talent like you could join the Sky Insect with you. Unfortunately, you ruined such an opportunity with your own hands. Boom. Boom. The sky shattered and 10 silver moons appeared in the sky. They carried with them a destructive force and continuously struck Yi Fei's body. Although Yi Fei had activated the war demon's golden body in the moment of crisis, the rank 10 martial honorable realm was too terrifying. If the Empress Dowager wanted to, she could kill everyone present in a breath's time. No matter how strong Yi Fei's defense was, it was impossible for him to withstand the Empress Dowager's furious attack. The moment the Empress Dowager's golden body shattered, the 10 silver moons pierced through Yi Fei's body and left behind 10 deep holes in the ground. Yi Fei felt that his body was about to explode. His severely injured body was like a broken bag. He was slammed to the ground by the Empress Dowager and could no longer get up. Yi Fei! Zhao Yu screamed. She had seen Yi Fei's body being turned into a beehive by the Empress Dowager's silver moons with her own eyes. While her heart ached, Zhao Yu suddenly felt a great fear in her heart. She threw caution to the wind and roared at the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager, if you kill Yi Fei, I, Zhao Yu, swear that no matter what, I will kill you. Then I will kill myself. Humph, you are very talented, but it's a pity that your taste is too poor. An ant like him is not worth your sadness. After I kill him, you will quickly forget about him after a period of time. Your future is bright and you should not let an ant like him affect your martial heart, the Empress Dowager replied coldly. Ha ha ha, what an ant! Is it really that important to have a special body constitution? Do you think that the martial arts of the world belong to geniuses like you? I don't believe that. Old Master Jian, Senior Jing, I am sorry. I am afraid that I will not be able to spar with you anymore. Wang Bai, I am sorry. I still do not have the ability to save Zhao Yu. Yi Fei's body was covered in blood. He could clearly feel that his life force was quickly draining away. This was the attack of a rank 10 martial honorable. If not for the undying sword soul in his body that could instantly recover and save Yi Fei's life, the Empress Dowager would probably only need one move to smash Yi Fei into pieces. You are still alive after taking a full blow from me? The Empress Dowager was extremely shocked. She could not believe that the ant in her eyes, Yi Fei, who had not even reached the martial honorable realm, could actually withstand her full blow. I can still fight. Yi Fei looked at his broken body and then looked at the Empress Dowager's vicious eyes. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He was ready to completely activate the undying sword soul in his body. Even if he had to die, he would take the old witch down with him. You are courting death. You are not even a martial honorable and you want to be my opponent? What a joke. The Empress Dowager's eyes were dark. She knew that Yi Fei could be Zhao Yu's greatest obsession. She did not show any mercy and attacked viciously. Her 10 moons were like hooks and they descended once again. Kill. Sword intent surged. Yi Fei did not care about his severely injured body. He looked ferocious as he prepared to activate the power of the undying sword soul. However, before he could do so, suddenly, a terrifying force that could destroy the heavens and earth appeared on Yi Fei's body. A broken wooden token flew out from Yi Fei's body. A huge rune burned in the sky. Suddenly, it turned into a huge beast's palm. Upon closer inspection, it was a huge beast's claw that stepped out from the void. Beast roaming the world. A vague and majestic voice sounded from the void. The beast's body could not be seen in the void. Only a huge beast's claw could be seen walking in the void. Chapter 320. The vow to destroy the heavenly insect. This scene deeply shocked Yi Fei. What was going on? Wasn't that the 10,000 instant talisman that Wang Bai had given him? How could it possess such a terrifying power? The beast's walk could destroy a city with a single step. Although the power of the wooden talisman was not as terrifying as the rumors said, everyone could feel the destructive power of the beast's paw. The Empress Dowager, who bore the brunt of the attack, was even more shocked. What's going on? I have already calculated that there are no experts of the sacred area hiding nearby. What is this talisman? How could it possess such a great power? Destruction of yin and yang. Sensing the terrifying power of the talisman, the Empress Dowager did not have time to deal the final blow to Yi Fei. She immediately gathered all her strength of the 10th layer Martial Highness realm into the talisman. A silver crescent moon appeared on the Empress Dowager's left hand, while a black demonic sun appeared on her right hand. The yin and yang forces intertwined with each other and collided with the giant beast's paw. Rumble! The beast's paw continued to descend at a steady pace. In an instant, the crescent moon and the demonic sun were shattered into pieces. At the same time, the Empress Dowager's protective barrier and half of her bones were shattered. How is this possible? The Empress Dowager vomited blood as her body was instantly smashed into the ground by the beast's paw. She could only rely on the blood sword in her hand to prevent herself from falling to the ground. Despite this, the Empress Dowager's noble image was reduced to a sorry state. Her cold gaze was replaced by fear and her vicious expression was replaced by fear. The beast's paw in the air did not withdraw, but continued to descend at a steady pace. It was as if the person it wanted to kill was not a rank 10 martial honorable realm expert, but an ant on the side of the road while it was casually walking around. A martial emperor realm expert. No, this attack is even more terrifying than a martial emperor realm expert. Could it be a martial sacred? The Empress Dowager's voice trembled when she mentioned the martial sacred. Her gaze toward Yi Fei was filled with fear. Phoenix Bloodsword, lend me a hand. At this critical moment, the Empress Dowager made the wisest decision in the blink of an eye. First, she instantly appeared beside Zhao Yu and grabbed Zhao Yu. At the same time, she sinisterly used Zhao Yu to bear this terrifying beast might with her. At the same time, the Empress Dowager raised the blood sword in her hand. The blood sword immediately released a boundless amount of blood light. In the end, it turned into a huge illusory image of a chi dragon. It roared and rushed towards the huge beast palm in the sky, helping the Empress Dowager to temporarily block the speed of the beast palm. However, the Empress Dowager was still not satisfied. She stared at the Phoenix Blood Sword with a look of surprise on her face. Why is the Phoenix Blood Sword releasing dragon chi? Could it be because it absorbed too much dragon chi from suppressing the Zhao clan's dragon vein? The beast palm was blocked by the dragon chi, and the Empress Dowager cunningly held Zhao Yu hostage. A faint sigh came from the void. The huge beast palm slowly disappeared and suddenly turned into a golden beast mark. It flew towards Yi Fei and instantly pressed on Yi Fei's shoulder, forming a strange beast claw mark. The moment the mark was formed, an extremely terrifying strange energy instantly surged into Yi Fei's body. At the same time, Yi Fei's body crazily transformed. Yi Fei immediately felt his severely injured body on the brink of death rapidly recover. The speed was even more terrifying than the instantaneous recovery of the undying sword's soul. After all, the instantaneous recovery of the undying sword's soul required Yi Fei to use pills in advance to stimulate the black energy of the sword's soul. However, it was different this time. Just a beast mark was able to heal Yi Fei's injuries and restore Yi Fei's peak strength. How is this possible? That is a true ancient beast mark. Yi Fei, consider yourself lucky this time. With the beast mark protecting your body, I will let you go. However, Nangong Long is my elder brother, the son of the Heavenly Yin cult's leader. Since you killed Nangong Long, the Heavenly Yin cult will use all of its strength to kill you. Come with me. No, I won't go. I want to be with Yi Fei even if I die. Zhao Yu struggled violently, but the Empress Dowager only sneered. It's not up to you. From now on, you are the new saintess of the Heavenly Yin cult. You and Yi Fei will be enemies forever. The Empress Dowager grabbed Zhao Yu and quickly flew out of the palace. At the same time, Yi Fei made his move. He used the heaven-swallowing stance again. He wanted to tear the space apart to save Zhao Yu. However, the Empress Dowager only sneered. She waved the phoenix blood sword, and a terrifying dragon aura roared. It knocked Yi Fei a few hundred meters away. If it wasn't for the beast mark protecting her body, the Empress Dowager's attack would have killed Yi Fei. It couldn't be helped. The difference between a half-step martial honorable and a rank 10 martial honorable was like heaven and earth. Empress Dowager, give me back my daughter! The Emperor was enraged. When the Empress Dowager rushed out of the palace, he charged into the sky. However, the Empress Dowager only sneered in reply. Emperor, you are just a puppet that I have nurtured. Since you are my descendant, you can bring the Zhao family to the heavenly Yin cult and seek protection if you think it through. After the Empress Dowager finished speaking, a 10,000-mile instant talisman appeared in her hand. She instantly opened a space gate with Zhao Yu and stepped into it. When Yi Fei saw the space gate, he was shocked. It was the same 10,000-mile instant talisman. Why didn't it have a space gate when he used it? It wasn't as complicated as the Empress Dowager's talisman. Wait, could it be that Wang Bai didn't give me the 10,000-mile instant talisman? Rumble. Before Yi Fei could think about it, a huge sword radiance flew across the sky and slashed at the Empress Dowager's space gate. The Empress Dowager sneered, chasing life with a sword, Jing Wushou? It seems that there are many people in the Taishan sacred ground who don't follow the rules. Yi Fei killed Nangong Long and you came to stop me. It seems that the heavenly Yin cult and the Taishan sacred ground have to reconsider the truce. Bam! The space gate closed before the sword radiance could reach it. The Empress Dowager and Zhao Yu's figures disappeared completely. The Emperor and the old mansion master cried when they saw this. They had done everything they could, but in the end they still couldn't save Zhao Yu. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. If only I could be stronger. If only I could be a martial venerable. When Yi Fei saw Zhao Yu's sad eyes before he left, he felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was a pain that went deep into his bones. Yi Fei was in so much pain that he could only punch the ground and the hard rocks. It seemed that he could only vent the pain in his heart by hurting himself. Unfortunately, he couldn't even do that. The beast mark on his shoulder perfectly protected Yi Fei's body, so that he wouldn't be hurt at all. Yi Fei was filled with hatred. He hated the heavenly Yin cult, but he hated himself even more. If I wasn't so weak, why am I still so weak? I don't want to be weak. I want to be strong. I want to be stronger than everyone else. Only then will I have no regrets. Only then will I be able to protect the people I want to protect. I want to be strong. Yi Fei suddenly stood up. He wouldn't allow himself to be weak. A man had to be strong at all times. Chapter 321. Phoenix blood soared. The Emperor and the old mansion master walked over. They were shocked when they saw Yi Fei's appearance. Then, they felt a wave of sadness. The old mansion master comforted Yi Fei helplessly. Yi Fei, this is not your fault. You have done well, better than any of us. The Emperor also said dejectedly, it is my fault. If I had been more decisive, you would not have been taken away by the heavenly Yin sect. Xing Fei, I am sorry. I am sorry for our daughter. As he spoke, the Emperor suddenly burst into tears. He cried so sadly that he did not even care about his dignity as an emperor. However, no one laughed at him. All the officials were frightened. Many of them wanted to cry. After all, when the immortals fought, the mortals would suffer. If the heavenly Yin sect and the Taishan Holy Land fight in Zhao City, the whole of Zhao City may be destroyed. Your Majesty, please take care of yourself. There were also a few loyal old officials who cried with the Emperor. Jing Wushou was very impatient when he heard this. He pointed at the Emperor and scolded, "What are you crying for? Your daughter was only taken away, not killed. At worst, we can gather people and go to the heavenly Yin religion to rescue Zhao Yu. Send troops to attack the heavenly Yin sect? Jing Wushou's words scared the officials and generals present. They all kept quiet out of fear. The old officials who were weeping also stopped crying. They quickly squeezed into the crowd and stopped talking. Seeing this scene, Yi Fei also sighed. He did not blame these people. After all, they were the most ordinary warriors. Compared to the heavenly Yin sect, the difference was like an egg compared to a rock. After wiping the blood off his face, Yi Fei turned to the emperor and asked, "Your Majesty, tell me the truth. What is the heavenly Yin sect's purpose in hiding in Zhao City?" The emperor wiped his tears and smiled bitterly. "This is the biggest secret of the Zhao clan. Our ancestors have decreed that even if the descendants of the Zhao clan are killed, this secret cannot be spread. However, Yi Fei, after seeing everything you've done for my daughter, I can tell you this secret. Come with me." The emperor waved his hand, indicating for Yi Fei to follow him to a place. Then, he looked at the surrounding officials and Yi Fei sternly and said, "Other than Zhen and Yi Fei, no one else is allowed to follow." "Yes, Your Majesty." Without a sound, dozens of royal ghost guards with ghost faces appeared around the palace. They were scattered all around, preventing anyone from following them. The reason being that the strength of these ghost guards was exactly the same as the Emperor, 10th layer martial ancestor realm. Dozens of martial arts grandmaster realm experts from the imperial family were in the imperial palace. They were right under the nose of the Empress Dowager. Chapter 322. Don't want to lose it again. The Emperor pointed at the floating flaming sword. His expression was very complicated. This sword could have brought great hope to the rise of the Zhao clan. Unfortunately, the flames of the phoenix were too domineering. Ordinary mortals could not control it at all, even if it was just a sword stained with the blood of the phoenix. "Yi Fei, you can try to control this sword now. Remember, don't force it. Otherwise, it's very likely that you'll enrage this sword." The Emperor stepped aside with a complicated look in his eyes. Even Royal Uncle Zhao Qianjun, the most talented man, couldn't control this sword. "Yi Fei is our only hope. If he can't control the Phoenix Blood Sword, I can only follow the secret method of my ancestors. I would rather destroy it than let it fall into the hands of the heavenly Yin cult. Yi Fei, everything depends on your luck. With the talent you have displayed, there should be a 30% chance of you being able to control this sword," the Emperor said. Then, he silently retreated to the only safe place in the mystic realm. Hearing the Emperor's words, Yi Fei's expression turned serious. "Don't talk about a 30% chance. Even if there is less than a 10% chance, I will not give up." Yi Fei felt that he had lost too much. First, it was his father. Then, it was his sister. Now, it was Zhao Yu. He hated the feeling of loss and powerlessness. He wanted to become stronger now. The Phoenix Blood Sword in front of him was a good opportunity for him to become stronger. "I must subdue the Phoenix Blood Sword because I do not want to lose it again." Yi Fei took a deep breath and walked towards the floating Phoenix Blood Sword. Whoosh! Sensing an unfamiliar aura approaching, the flames on the Phoenix Blood Sword suddenly surged like a tsunami. The raging flames burned the surroundings. The blazing air formed a whirlpool that swept towards Yi Fei. These were not ordinary flames. They were the flames that Yi Fei was most familiar with. There are so many divine flames here. Yi Fei was extremely surprised. When the Emperor heard this, he smiled and said, "You're very surprised, right? Back then, Yu'er was just as surprised as you. I lied to her and said that I obtained the divine fire by chance. In fact, its source came from the Phoenix Blood Sword. The Phoenix Blood Sword is the source of the divine fire. Yi Fei, it's not too late for you to back down now." "Retreat? Sorry, there is no retreat in my dictionary. The opportunity to become stronger is right in front of me. Even if I die, I won't regret it." Yi Fei continued forward, ignoring the divine flames around him. He didn't even bother to use his battle demon golden body. The strange beast mark on his body was already emitting a shocking pressure, causing the divine flames around him to scatter. As expected of an ancient beast mark. Unfortunately, this mark can only allow Yi Fei to avoid the divine fire's attack. It's still very difficult to subdue the Phoenix blood sword. Screech. Before the Emperor could finish his words, he sensed that Yi Fei was not burned by the divine fire. The Phoenix blood sword was suddenly enraged like a phoenix. The sword shattered the void. Without anyone controlling it, the Phoenix blood sword had already executed a mysterious sword technique. With a sharp sword light, it slashed towards Yi Fei. It can actually use sword moves on its own? It seems to be an extremely powerful sword technique. As expected of a sacred artifact's embryo. However, I can feel your anger. You can also feel my anger. After grasping the heart illumination sword, Yi Fei could clearly distinguish the emotions in the sword qi. As a result, Yi Fei was also enraged. He raised his sword and pointed a finger at the Phoenix blood sword. When his finger collided with the blade, the crisp sound of metal clashing could be heard. Then, the sword qi whistled and a power that could suppress heaven and earth burst forth from Yi Fei's finger. As it suppressed the Phoenix blood sword, Yi Fei's hand had already quickly grabbed the hilt of the Phoenix blood sword. Boom! The Phoenix blood sword suddenly exploded like an ancient divine phoenix that had been awakened from its slumber. Yi Fei felt that his heaven burial style had suddenly suffered a huge backlash. A terrifying sword light that was no weaker than the heaven's burial style was automatically unleashed by the Phoenix blood sword. As it shattered the suppression of the heaven's burial style, the Phoenix blood sword turned into a ball of astonishing flames and quickly fled from Yi Fei's side. How is this possible? My heaven burial style is actually ineffective. Yi Fei's face was filled with shock. If he was facing the Empress Dowager, a rank 10 martial honorable, it would be understandable that the heaven burial style was ineffective. Why was the Phoenix blood sword able to escape from the heaven burial style? It had even reversed and executed a strange sword move that was not weaker than the heaven burial style. Wait, a sword move that was not weaker than the heaven burial style. A thought suddenly flashed through Yi Fei's mind. Could it be that the move that the Phoenix blood sword had just executed was the third move of the Annihilation Sky sword, the heaven burning style? As for whether it was true or not, he would know once he tried it again. Heaven swallowing style. Yi Fei was ruthless. A huge black hole suddenly appeared in the middle of his sword fingers and swallowed all the nearby flames. The Phoenix blood sword's furious emotions suddenly turned into fear. Boundless flames hurriedly formed a sword move in the shape of the character, burning towards Yi Fei's body. However, Yi Fei did not even look at it. Taking advantage of the moment when the Phoenix blood sword's body was exposed, another sword finger fiercely pierced out. The heaven swallowing style and heaven burial style were executed at the same time, suppressing the Phoenix blood sword until it could not move. Following that, the Phoenix blood sword's hilt was already in Yi Fei's hand. He actually managed to grab the Phoenix blood sword's body so quickly. However, Zhao Qianjun also managed to do this back then. After that, he was powerless. The true Phoenix blood sword is not that easy to subdue. After the Emperor recovered from his shock, his expression was still extremely grave. Boom! As if to prove Yi Fei's words, the Phoenix blood sword's body that was grabbed suddenly seemed to be reborn from the flames of a phoenix. From the hilt to the sword's body, it turned into a raging flame that burned. The temperature of the flame was more than 100 times higher than the outer heaven divine fire that Yi Fei controlled. It was the true flames of a phoenix. Even the beast mark on his body showed signs of being unable to resist it. Yi Fei could clearly feel that the beast mark on his arrowhead was rapidly fading. If he was unable to control the phoenix blood sword before the beast mark disappeared, there was a possibility that he would be burned alive by the phoenix blood sword. However, Yi Fei did not have any intention of letting go. On the contrary, the more heaven-defying the phoenix blood sword was, the happier he was. Very good. This phoenix blood sword is indeed worthy of being a sacred artifact's embryo. Not only is its power astonishing, it also seems to be able to remember the original owner's sword moves. I just don't know if the indestructible sword soul in my body can subdue it. With a thought in his mind, Yi Fei had already awakened the indestructible sword soul. The indestructible sword soul instantly emitted a disdainful emotion, as if it was extremely dissatisfied with Yi Fei using it to subdue the phoenix blood sword. Clang! With a lazy hum, the indestructible sword soul returned to silence and no longer paid any attention to Yi Fei's call. As for the phoenix blood sword in Yi Fei's hand, when it heard the indestructible sword soul's hum, an extremely fearful emotion suddenly emitted from the phoenix blood sword. Shwa! The flames that filled the sky instantly disappeared and the phoenix blood sword obediently landed in Yi Fei's hand. There was even a faint fawning emotion coming from the phoenix blood sword. Yi Fei's expression became extremely strange. Chapter 323. Experience. He actually subdued the phoenix blood sword so easily? Seeing the phoenix blood sword obediently fall into Yi Fei's hands, the emperor, who was still standing in the corner of the mystic realm, could not help but gape in shock. After all, the royal family of the Zhao kingdom had guarded the phoenix blood sword for hundreds of years and subdued it for hundreds of years. However, no one was able to successfully subdue the phoenix blood sword. Sometimes, the emperor even suspected that even his ancestor, Zhao Shenzhen, was unable to subdue the sword. That was why he irresponsibly left it in the Zhao kingdom, hoping that a descendant would be able to subdue it. Now Yi Fei had actually subdued it so easily. While the emperor was happy, he also felt a little depressed. Didn't this mean that the entire Zhao clan added together could not compare to Yi Fei alone? After subduing the phoenix blood sword, Yi Fei did not have time to be happy. As he dripped his blood on it, he immediately calmed his mind and checked the secrets within the phoenix blood sword. However, other than the endless flames, he did not find any clues about the burning heaven style. What's going on? Why are all the sword moves in the phoenix blood sword gone? Yi Fei was very puzzled. The emperor seemed to know something. He walked over and said, "Zhao Qianjun once researched this problem. In the end, he deduced that the sword moves in the phoenix blood sword's memories should be part of the spiritual imprint left behind by the previous owner. Once it recognizes a new owner, the imprint will disappear." I see. The previous owner of the phoenix blood sword was Zhao Shenzhen. Could it be that Zhao Shenzhen once grasped the burning heaven style? The more Yi Fei thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. He immediately looked hopefully at the emperor and asked, "Your Majesty, does your Zhao clan have records of the burning heaven style?" Burning heaven style? My ancestor did not pass down many sword technique. There are no fire-type sword technique. However, my ancestor came from the main Zhao clan. The sword techniques in the phoenix blood sword's memories are very likely passed down from the main Zhao clan, the emperor said after some thought. After the explanation, Yi Fei found out that the Zhao clan did not rise from the Zhao clan, but had migrated from a very powerful clan. Otherwise, there would not have been such a peerless monster like Zhao Shenzhen. Upon understanding this, Yi Fei realized that obtaining the phoenix blood sword didn't mean that he would be able to obtain the buried heaven style. Looks like I'll have to go to the Zhao clan if I have the time, and inquire about the whereabouts of the burning heaven style. Yi Fei secretly made up his mind. Seeing that Yi Fei had successfully subdued the phoenix blood sword, the emperor brought Yi Fei out of the secret space. He looked deeply at Yi Fei and said, "Yi Fei, treasure this sword well. Don't let it fall into the hands of the heavenly cult. Don't worry, Your Majesty. As long as the person is here, the sword will be here. It's just that I have nothing to repay you for giving me such a valuable gift. After saying this, Yi Fei couldn't help but feel a bit guilty. How precious was the embryo of a sacred artifact. Anyone who had such a weapon could fight against a sacred master, but the emperor had chosen to give it to Yi Fei. As if understanding Yi Fei's feelings, the emperor smiled faintly and said with deep meaning, "It's yours, so it's yours in the end." Actually, giving you the Phoenix Blood Sword was partly out of helplessness, and partly out of selfishness. Yi Fei, promise me that no matter what method you use, you must destroy the heavenly cult and rescue you. Rest assured, Your Majesty. As long as I don't die, I will definitely rescue Zhao Yu. I can swear on my life. Yi Fei's expression was solemn. Not to mention his friendship with Zhao Yu, just this Phoenix Blood Sword was enough for him to complete the Emperor's task. After looking deeply at Yi Fei, the Emperor smiled and shook his head. There's no need to swear. I believe you. Now, hurry and leave. If the heavenly cult finds out that the Phoenix Blood Sword is in your hands, they will definitely not let you off. If I leave, what will happen to you, Your Majesty? Yi Fei was a bit worried. After all, this person was Zhao Yu's father. Yi Fei couldn't bear to see him fall into danger. Understanding Yi Fei's worry, the Emperor laughed even more heartily. Haha, you really didn't choose the wrong person. You don't have to worry about the Zhao clan. That old witch married the Zhao clan, and my daughter was forced to join the heavenly cult. No matter how ruthless the heavenly cult is, they won't harm me. However, Yi Fei, you must be careful and take care of yourself. Your Majesty, the same goes for you. Take care. Yi Fei understood that the Emperor was speaking the truth. Now that he had ignored Nan Ruofeng's order and rushed out of the Holy Land, he had committed a great crime. He had also killed Nangong Long in the Imperial City and had greatly angered the heavenly cult. If the heavenly cult attacked him now, the Holy Land would definitely not help him. It seems like I can't go back to the Holy Land. The only thing I can do now is to escape as far as I can. When I've increased my strength, I'll come back and look for Nan Ruofeng and the heavenly cult to settle this once and for all. In the end, Yi Fei nodded at the Emperor. He spread his golden wings and flew out of the Imperial Palace with the Phoenix Blood Sword. The old mansion master and Jing Wushou were waiting outside the Imperial Palace. When they saw Yi Fei come out, they quickly went up to him. Looking at the old mansion master who was seriously injured but still insisted on waiting for him, and thinking about Zhao Yu who had been captured and forced to become the saintess of the heavenly cult, Yi Fei felt a wave of pain in his heart. Then Yi Fei looked at Jing Wushou and said apologetically, "Senior brother Jing, I'm sorry. I've implicated Sword Peak this time. If you treat me as your senior brother, don't say sorry. You and Zhao Yu are my junior brothers and sisters. It's only right that I protect you. Unfortunately, we're still too weak." Jing Wushou sighed and felt helpless. Suddenly, he thought of something and looked at Yi Fei seriously. "Yi Fei, Master said that you can't go back to the Holy Land. Once you go back, Nan Ruofeng will definitely target you. What do you plan to do now?" Yi Fei sneered when he heard that, a holy land that sacrificed its disciples' happiness in exchange for a peaceful life. "Even if they beg me to go back, I won't go back. This year, I'll try my best to train and break through to Martial King. Then, a year later, I'll fight with Nan Ruofeng. I'll also rescue Zhao Yu from the heavenly cult." Although the Emperor had said that he was not allowed to swear, Yi Fei would never forget that Zhao Yu had sacrificed herself in exchange for the Phoenix Blood Sword. Then, he had the responsibility to rescue Zhao Yu. Train? Jing Wushou was stunned when he heard this. Then, he nodded and said, "It's good to go out and train. A cultivator can only grow the fastest in battle." "That's right, where have you decided to train?" "I want to go to the Sea of Constellations." Yi Fei enunciated each word clearly. He might not be able to destroy the heavenly Yin cult alone, but if he could rescue the Demon Emperor, with the Demon Emperor's strength, destroying a holy land would be a matter of one hand. What? The Sea of Constellations? Junior brother Yi, you've really decided to go there? Jing Wushou was shocked. Chapter 324. Fury. Jing Wushou's expression was solemn as he recalled, the Sea of Constellations is the most terrifying place among the 18 nations of the Northern Sea. It is said that there was once a great battle between two peerless sovereigns, causing stars to fall from the sky. In the end, it turned into a sea of stars. There are also legends that it was once the location of the ancient sect, the Constellation sect. Countless treasures of the ancient sect are hidden there. The sovereign who fought in the Sea of Constellations should be the Demon Emperor. However, there is actually an ancient sect in the Sea of Constellations. Could it be that the Demon Emperor fought with the enemy and destroyed the ancient sect? Yi Fei's expression was strange. He understood that Jing Wushou was telling him all this to remind him of how dangerous the Sea of Constellations was. However, no matter how dangerous it was, he had to go to the Sea of Constellations. This was not only to save Zhao Yu, but also to fulfill Yi Fei's promise to the Demon Emperor. Senior brother Jing, please tell me where the Sea of Constellations is. Yi Fei looked at Jing Wushou with determination. Jing Wushou sighed silently. He could not stop Yi Fei. Yi Fei, you killed Nangong Long and have thoroughly offended the heavenly Yin cult. Now that Nan Ruofeng is in charge of the sacred grounds will not provide you with any help. Perhaps, escaping into the Sea of Constellations is still a good idea. Jing Wushou nodded at Yi Fei, then threw a map to Yi Fei. This is the route to the Sea of Constellations. 7 years ago, when I obtained first place in the Mountain River list, I went there. Unfortunately, I only managed to get close to the periphery. I almost died there. Yi Fei, if you want to go, I will not stop you. However, you better be careful. Jing Wushou looked at Yi Fei with a serious expression. The old manor head who was standing at the side listening was so frightened that his face turned pale. He quickly advised, Yi Fei, even an expert like Senior Jing almost died there. You are only a half-step martial paragon. How can you enter such a dangerous place? Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your family Yi. The reason the old manor head mentioned the family Yi was to prevent Yi Fei from entering the Sea of Constellations. Yi Fei naturally understood that the old manor head was worried about him. However, the words of the old mansion master and Jing Wushou still made Yi Fei's expression turn grave. That's right. If I head to the Sea of Constellations, what will happen to my family Yi? Even though he didn't have any feelings for most of the people in the family Yi, and even hated them very much in the end, there were still 1 or 2 people in the family Yi who were worthy of Yi Fei's life to protect. Human. For example, Yi Jian and Yi Shanshan, who was still far away in the Star Moon Holy Land. These were all his closest relatives. The Nangong Long I killed was the son of the sect master of the heavenly Yin cult. He was also the expert ranked first on the Yin Demon leaderboard. Based on the Empress Dowager's tone, the heavenly Yin cult will definitely not let me go. It doesn't matter if I head to the Sea of Constellations myself, but I have to think of a way to prevent my family Yi from being implicated as well. However, Yi Fei once again fell into deep thought about how to settle his family Yi. Seeing Yi Fei's troubled expression, Jing Wushou hesitated for a moment before taking the initiative to suggest, "Why don't you let your family Yi temporarily take refuge in the Sword Peak? Master and I can take care of them." "No. I've already caused too much trouble for the Sword Peak during this period of time. I can't be a burden to the Sword Peak anymore. Furthermore, I don't feel at ease leaving my family under Nan Ruofeng's watch." Yi Fei bluntly expressed his worries. He didn't need to beat around the bush when it came to Jing Wushou. Yi Fei trusted Jing Wushou, just as Jing Wushou trusted him. Hearing this, Jing Wushou didn't insist. He only frowned and said, I can understand that you don't want your family Yi to enter the sacred ground and be controlled by Nanruofeng. However, I really can't think of a safer place than the Sword Peak. A safer place? Why didn't I think of that? Haha, I'm so stupid. Thank you, senior brother, for your reminder. I've already thought of how to settle my family Yi. Yi Fei's eyes suddenly brightened. Jing Wushou's words finally reminded Yi Fei that there was actually a safer place than the Sword Peak. Thus Yi Fei bid farewell to Jing Wushou and said, Senior brother Jing, thank you for this time. However, it's best if you return to the sacred ground. Don't be implicated by me. While you're at it, help me thank the old Master Jian. Help me tell the old Master Jian that I will definitely return to the sacred ground in a year's time and fight Nanruofeng. Also, thank him for the 10,000-mile instant talisman that Wang Bai gave me. This talisman saved my life. Yi Fei stroked the dim ancient beast mark on his shoulder. His heart was filled with gratitude. Hearing this, Jing Wushou was stunned. What 10,000-mile instant talisman? How could I not know that the Sword Peak has such a thing? Also, didn't Wang Bai ask for leave from the outer sect and return home after you entered the Sword Peak? Yi Fei was even more shocked. Wang Bai left the sacred ground a month ago? Then, the 10,000-mile instant talisman wasn't given to me by Elder Sword Maniac? At this moment, a huge doubt arose in Yi Fei's heart. The 10,000-mile instant talisman that Wang Bai gave him was really too powerful. Not only was there a hidden realm gate that could cross thousands of miles, but there was also a terrifying ancient beast mark. It was also the 10,000-mile instant talisman. When the Empress Dowager used it, there was nothing but a realm gate. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. Yi Fei even thought of the sword steel and the black brick that hid the heaven burial style. He had only noticed them after Wang Bai reminded him. Yi Fei didn't have time to think about it in the past. However, now that he thought about it carefully, Yi Fei realized how mysterious Wang Bai was. He was definitely not as simple as an ordinary outer sect disciple. Wang Bai, who exactly are you? Why did you approach me and help me constantly? Yi Fei muttered to himself as he looked at the distant sky. Yi Fei definitely didn't know that on a mountain peak hundreds of thousands of miles away, Wang Bai's snow-white robe was stepping into the void. As if he had heard Yi Fei's words, Wang Bai's 4 eyebrows twitched out of habit. Hee, I came out to play out of interest and made a good brother. Yi Fei, I look forward to the moment you grow up. Rumble. With a wave of his hand, the void in front of him and the huge mountain range in front of him shattered. Along with Wang Bai's figure, everything turned into dust and dissipated between heaven and earth as if they had never existed. Bang, bang, bang. The Empress Dowager, who had returned to the Heavenly Yin sect, was also angrily smashing everything in front of her. The reason was naturally the Phoenix blood sword in her hand. She had spent a total of 200 years to obtain the most precious treasure of the Zhao clan. Originally, she had come back excitedly, full of joy. Even if she couldn't break through to the Martial Saint realm with the Phoenix blood sword, she could at least reach the level of Wu Jun. Above the Martial King realm was the Martial Saint realm. However, it was different from the 10th layer Martial King realm. There were 12 layers in the Martial Saint realm. The first 10 layers were the foundation. Only after breaking through the 11th layer could one reach the half-saint realm. Only after breaking through the 12th layer could one truly transcend mortality and become a martial saint. Therefore, when the ancient sects had disappeared one after another, and a large number of cultivation methods and martial skills were incomplete, the warriors of the current era separated the first 10 layers of the martial saint realm and created the realm of Wu Jun. The reason why the Empress Dowager was willing to marry and rather be imprisoned in the Zhao kingdom for 200 years than move a single step was to find the Phoenix blood sword. She wanted to use the power of the Phoenix Blood Sword to skip the Martial King realm and directly enter the 12th layer of the Martial Saint realm, which was Wu Jun's realm. However, the reality slapped the Empress Dowager hard in the face. The Empress Dowager was stunned and exasperated. Chapter 325. The Hunt. It's fake, it's fake. I've been fooled by my son and grandson for 200 years. The anger of a woman was terrifying, especially when she was a 10th layer Martial Highness. Her destructive power was enough to destroy the heavens and earth, causing many disciples of the Heavenly Een sect to tremble in fear. However, compared to the Empress Dowager's anger, the Heavenly Een sect had another serious matter to deal with, which was Nangong Long's death. Although the patriarch of the Heavenly Een sect had many children, Nangong Long was definitely the most outstanding among them. His talent and potential were 1 in a million in the Heavenly Een sect. However, such a genius, the number 1 expert of the Een demon ranking, had been killed by Yi Fei. This was a great humiliation for the Heavenly Een sect. What should we do? Should we report this to the patriarch? Of course we should, and we must do it quickly. If we hide anything, the patriarch will surely vent his anger on us. But the patriarch is still in seclusion. It's the crucial moment for him to reach the 12th layer Martial Sacred Realm. We don't have time to think about it. Not only is Nangong Long the son of the patriarch, he is also the most talented genius of the Heavenly Een sect. His future achievements will surely surpass Nan Ruofeng of the Taixien Sacred Land. How dare Yi Fei kill him? I'll report this to the patriarch. It's best if we start a war with the Taixien Sacred Land and let the Heavenly Een sect dominate the 18 countries of the North Sea. The last person to speak was a Golden Bone envoy. In the Heavenly Een sect there were no elders. Those above the disciple level were the envoys and martial highnesses. The envoys were divided into white bones, silver bones, and golden bones. Normally, only martial emperors were qualified to be golden bone envoys. This showed how great the impact of Nangong Long's death was on the Heavenly Een sect. The Golden Bone envoy immediately gathered his courage and delivered the news to a pitch-black underground palace where the patriarch was still in seclusion. When the news was delivered, it was silent. Suddenly, the underground palace began to tremble, and a formless black cloud instantly covered the entire Heavenly Een sect's small world. Bang! In the end, even the miniature world began to tremble violently as cracks appeared. The dozen or so emissaries of different levels that had gathered, including the emissary of Golden Bones, were all blown out of the miniature world as if they had been struck by lightning. They vomited blood. A bunch of trash. You can't even protect my son. What use do I have for you? Pass down my orders. From today onwards, send out all the experts of the sect to hunt down Yi Fei. If you can't kill this ant, you can bring your heads to me. The Dark Sky Hierarch's furious voice came from the underground palace. It was deep and terrifying, like the roar of a terrifying monster. All the disciples who were still in the small world knelt on the ground in fear. They looked at the deepest part of the underground palace with fear. Chapter 326. The bloody battle outside the city. No one objected to Yi Fei's order. In the world of martial artists, strength was everything. Although Yi Fei was a junior, he was a half-step martial honorable. After killing Nangong Long, Yi Fei naturally replaced the old mansion master and became the strongest pillar of the family Yi and Tianyun Wufu. Yi Fei, tell me honestly, what's in the demon ceiling tower? While everyone was busy transporting large amounts of resources into the demon ceiling tower, the old mansion master looked for Yi Fei and asked him a question that had been on his mind for a long time. Chen Chongfeng, Yi Jian, and the others couldn't help but stretch their ears. They were really curious. Why could Yi Fei casually enter the demon ceiling tower, which was said to be a place of no return. It was like his backyard. Ha ha ha, what's in the demon ceiling tower? There's nothing in there except for a suppressed emperor. At the same time, he's also my master. Yi Fei laughed loudly. In the past, he was weak and didn't dare to reveal this information. Now that he was about to leave and the family Yi and Tianyun Wufu were about to enter the demon ceiling tower to seek refuge, not only would Yi Fei not be in trouble, but he would also be able to reassure everyone. What, an emperor? He's also Yi Fei's master. Sure enough, the moment Yi Fei's words left his mouth, other than Feng Xinyang and Bai Ling, everyone was shocked. Then, a huge excitement appeared on everyone's faces. If it was said that everyone was nervous when they heard that they were going to enter the Devil Ceiling Tower, then now, everyone wanted to rush in immediately. Standing in the sky, Yi Fei saw the people from Wu Province and family Yi pouring into the Demon Ceiling Tower like a tide. He couldn't help but smile. Heavenly Yin Cult, you definitely didn't expect me to have this trick up my sleeve. As long as the family Yi is fine, I have all the time in the world to deal with you. Palace Master, I'm leaving. Fourth Mother, take good care of everyone once we enter the Devil Ceiling Pagoda. Yi Fei nodded towards Old Palace Master and Feng Xinyang. Sister Bai Ling, take these and cultivate well. If Master wakes up in there, please tell him that I've already left for the Sea of Constellations. Suddenly Yi Fei came to Bai Ling's side. He took out a handful of sky-level pills and gave them to Bai Ling. Yi Fei was very grateful to this senior martial sister, who had taken good care of him ever since he entered Wu Province. Zhuang Ling, are you too? I have high hopes for you and the family Yi. Don't disappoint me. Yi Fei nodded at Zhuang Linger, who was standing beside Bai Ling. Without another word, Yi Fei spread his golden rock wings and transformed into a ball of golden light as he soared into the sky. Big brother Yi, I won't disappoint you. Zhuang Linger shouted towards the sky. Then, she began to cry and mumbled to herself, why? He's willing to give up his life for Princess Zhao Yu. Why won't he say a single word to me? Sigh. Bai Ling looked at Zhuang Linger, who was still secretly in love with Yi Fei, and sighed helplessly. Even though she knew that it was impossible between Zhuang Linger and Yi Fei, Bai Ling didn't stop Zhuang Linger from having such a one-sided love. This was a stage that every young girl would go through. Zhuang Linger would only be able to grow after experiencing it, experiencing pain and letting go. Sigh. In the sky, Yi Fei was also rubbing his aching head. How could he not see Zhuang Linger's feelings for him? But Zhuang Linger wasn't his type. It's all that old bastard Yi Bufan's fault. He tricked his daughter into coming back for a blind date, but in the end, he made such a mistake. I hope Zhuang Linger can get over it in the future. Yi Fei landed on the city walls of Sky Fortune City in a bad mood. He wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he sat down cross-legged as if he was waiting for something. It was around an hour after Sky Fortune City had become an empty city. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from outside the city. Dozens of experts on the Heavenly Yin Cult's Yin Demon ranking rushed over. Family Yi, Tianyun Wufu, get out here and die. Cult Master has ordered that Yi Fei has killed Nangong Long. This is a great crime. Today we will bathe Tianyun Wufu and family Yi in blood. We will kill everyone in Sky Fortune City. The Heavenly Yin Cult's reaction was very fast. They not only sent out a large group of bone messengers to madly search for Yi Fei's whereabouts. At the same time, many disciples on the Yin Demon ranking also received a mission to kill the entire family Yi and Tianyun Wufu to accompany Nangong Long in death. Seeing these disciples of the Heavenly Yin sect rushing over to kill people without any scruples, Yi Fei's eyes became bloodshot. It was as if he could see the miserable look in Zhao Yu's eyes before he was taken away. Yi Fei's heart suddenly felt like it was being pierced by needles. Roar! Yi Fei, who was in pain, couldn't help but roar like a wild beast. His eyes were red as he rushed towards the demon ranking experts with his fastest speed. Kill. Terrifying fist shadows covered everyone present. Yi Fei's heart was in pain, but Yi Fei's killing intent was burning like flames. Who is it? Is he an elder of Tianyun Wufu? No, he's not from Wu province. He's Yi Fei, the Yi Fei who killed Nangong Long. Bang! Blood splattered in the sky. These demon ranking experts thought that this mission would be easy. They didn't expect that Yi Fei would be so bold. After killing Nangong Long, not only did he not run away in fear, or run back to the Taishan Holy Land to seek refuge, he even waited here for them. The dozens of demon ranking experts were all frightened. They frantically retreated and huddled together, trying to resist Yi Fei's attack. However, the power of the 7-kill fist was too strong. Yi Fei's current realm was not something these experts on the demon list could contend against. One step, one kill. Yi Fei didn't even bother to take out his sword. The 7-kill fist was filled with boundless killing intent and anger. In just a few dozen breaths, he had already killed all the experts on the demon list. Only an ordinary-looking female disciple was lucky to escape. But she was also frightened. She looked at Yi Fei in horror, crying and begging, "Spare my life, spare my life." Looking at Yi Fei's frightening blood-red eyes, the female disciple hugged her body even more tightly, afraid that Yi Fei would do something beastly. "Get out. You're lucky. I'm not in the mood to kill women today. Go back and tell Zhao Yu to take care of herself. I'll take her away soon." After that, Yi Fei turned around and left. He didn't want to waste time here. The female disciple also felt lucky that she had escaped. At this moment, bang! The female disciple's body suddenly swelled without any sign. The bodies of the heavenly sect disciples on the ground also swelled without any sign. "Emissary, no!" The female disciple screamed in horror. Her body suddenly exploded. The bodies of the heavenly sect disciples around Yi Fei also exploded. Chapter 327. Mountains of Bones. The revenge of the heavenly sect was beyond imagination. Apart from the dozens of experts on the demon ranking, they all came to attack. Behind them, there were even 10 first-layer martial honorable white bone messengers leading the team to guard. Yi Fei did not expect this. From this, it could be seen that Yi Fei's action of killing Nangong Long had caused a huge shock to the heavenly sect. It was the first time since the establishment of the heavenly sect that the 10 white bone messengers worked together to kill a junior. Of course, this was not the full strength of the heavenly cult. More bone emissaries had already rushed to the imperial city of Zhao. They would dig 3 feet into the ground to find the real phoenix blood sword that had been swapped by the Zhao clan. Because most of their attention was on the phoenix blood sword, the 10 white bone messengers were a little late. When they arrived, they discovered that the experts on the demon ranking that they had sent earlier were all killed by Yi Fei. They were all furious. "Damn it! This Yi Fei is truly as audacious as the rumors say. He actually intentionally waited here, and even killed 10s of our elite disciples. Humph, he's just an ordinary elite disciple. As long as he's not one of the top 10 experts on the demon ranking, he's not worth our attention. It's better that the kid is here." The sect leader said that whoever can kill Yi Fei, no matter how strong they are, will immediately be promoted to Golden Bone Messengers. "Kill. This kid was hit by our corpse explosion technique. He's probably half dead. Now's the best time to kill him." One of the most impulsive white bone messengers, relying on his strength and seniority, rushed into the poisonous and corrosive blood mist without waiting for the others to act. He wanted to kill Yi Fei, who was heavily injured by the corpse explosion technique. Boom! Just as the white bone messengers rushed into the blood mist, a golden palm suddenly stretched out and turned into a golden iron fist. With killing intent and anger, It fiercely smashed into the white bone messenger's face. The other white bone messengers heard the sound of their heads exploding. Yi Fei slowly walked out of the blood mist. His body emitted a dazzling golden light, like an ancient war demon. He ignored the poisonous and corrosive blood mist and instantly exploded the head of a white bone messenger's. The remaining 9 bone messengers could not help but gasp. His level 1 martial honored realm companion could not even withstand a single punch from Yi Fei? As expected of the person who managed to kill Nangong Long. Not only does this kid possess astonishing strength, his defense is also extremely abnormal. It's even better if one of them dies. That's one less person to share the credit with. Don't be careless. Since this kid was able to kill Nangong Long, he must have a powerful martial skill. Let's attack together and dismember his corpse. We'll bring it back and present it to the sect leader. Kill, kill, kill. Yi Fei did not retreat. Killing one bone emissary was not enough. He wanted to kill even more and even more ruthlessly. Only then would he be able to forget the inexplicable pain in his heart. 7 kills through the sky. The terrifying 7 murderous fist was unleashed to the extreme in Yi Fei's hands. Faintly, the 7 shadows of the fists merged together and formed a fist intent, causing the faces of all the bone messengers to change. How is this possible? That's only the embryonic form of fist intent. According to the rumors, isn't this Yi Fei's strongest martial skill sword intent? After comprehending sword intent, this kid is still able to comprehend fist intent in the midst of a massacre. His comprehension is insane. Everyone, don't hold back. Kill him. I have a feeling that with this kid's comprehension, once he grows stronger, he will become a great enemy of our heavenly Yin sect. After witnessing Yi Fei's terrifying fist technique and his defense, none of the white bone messengers stood a chance against Yi Fei in a one-on-one battle. After recovering from the shock, the 9 white bone messengers immediately unleashed a terrifying murderous intent and demonic aura from their bodies. Heavenly Demon Kill. Bone Demon Mystical Een Pierce. Corpse Explosion. Blood Magic Art. The 9 white bone messengers unleashed 9 terrifying heavenly Een sect martial skills at Yi Fei at the same time. This kind of attack was enough to make any martial saint expert's expression change and force them to retreat. Roar. Yi Fei roared as he took large strides forward like an enraged war demon. Heavenly Insect, I don't hate you for humiliating me or killing me. However, you shouldn't have captured my companions. You shouldn't have threatened my family. The wrath of an ant can shake mountains. The wrath of I, Yi Fei, can destroy the heavens and earth. Raging fist slaughter. At this moment, Yi Fei seemed to have comprehended something. He suddenly merged his anger and murderous intent into the 7 slaughtering fist. The 7 slaughtering fist that was filled with murderous intent seemed to have its own will. The fist shattered the void and destroyed the stars. It pierced through the chest of the weakest white bone messengers. 10%. Fist intent? The heavily injured white bone messengers were in disbelief. The instant Yi Fei comprehended fist intent, he skipped the fist intent seed stage and condensed the slaughtering fist that was filled with murderous intent. Unfortunately, this was still not enough. There were a total of 9 white bone messengers present. After Yi Fei killed one, there were still 8 of them. They didn't care about the deaths of their companions. In fact, they wanted as many of their companions to die as possible. That way, when they killed Yi Fei in the end, they would get a bigger share of the credit. Kill. Prepare to die. Yi Fei, today is the day you die. The 8 white bone messengers, 8 martial venerables, attacked at the same time. The terrifying power shattered the space in front of Yi Fei. Yi Fei couldn't withstand this kind of attack. Just the aura of the 8 white bone messengers alone was enough to make Yi Fei vomit blood. His golden body was shattered. However, Yi Fei didn't retreat. The corners of his mouth curled into a sinister smile. The distance between us is close enough. The 8 white bone messengers suddenly felt a great sense of danger from Yi Fei's body. Their faces all became fearful. Some of them were quick-witted and wanted to retreat. There were also some who were ferocious and didn't want to miss the opportunity to kill Yi Fei. At this moment Yi Fei moved. A blood sword burning with raging flames suddenly appeared in his hand. The blood-like sword light burned the world. Yi Fei held the wind blood sword in his hand and condensed it into a huge sword shadow in the shape of a ring of fire. 50% sword intent swept out. Poo 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 poo. Poo 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 poo. Blood splattered everywhere. The sword shattered the sky. The power of the Phoenix blood sword wasn't something that these ordinary white bone messengers could withstand. There was only one outcome if they tried to block it. Their bodies would be instantly cut in half by the Phoenix blood sword. What is this sword? The 8 white bone messengers were all horrified. They looked at the terrifying blood sword that easily pierced through their protective chi and their bodies. Yi Fei coldly withdrew his sword and seriously wiped the blood off the blade. He said, "The embryo of a sacred artifact, the Phoenix blood sword. It is also something that your heavenly Een cult has always wanted. Today, I will use your blood and your bones to show the heavenly Een cult what it means to not offend the might of a sword. What it means to show the wrath of an ant that can overturn the heavens." Pooh! With another sweep of the sword, the snow-white sword light had already beheaded the 8 bone messengers of the heavenly Een cult. Human heads rolled down and landed on the ground, forming a terrifying pyramid of human heads. Chapter 328. Reactions from all sides. Heavenly Fortune City. I'm leaving. But soon Yi Fei will return. After taking one last look at Tianyun Wufu and the Demon Ceiling Pagoda in Wu Province, Yi Fei finally withdrew his gaze. With a resolute expression, he opened the map that Jing Wushou had given him. This was the map to the Sea of Constellations. The Sea of Constellations was the most dangerous area in the 18 nations of the North Sea. It was once the base of an ancient sect, the Constellation sect. It was also the battlefield of peerless sovereigns. Now, the shattered primordial spirit of the Devil Emperor was hidden there, as well as the true spirit-devouring sword. I wonder which sword is stronger, the spirit-devouring sword or the Phoenix blood sword. Yi Fei was looking forward to it. As if sensing Yi Fei's thoughts, the Phoenix blood sword in his hand trembled slightly, as if proud and dissatisfied. Whoosh! Just as Yi Fei left Heavenly Fortune City and began his journey to the Sea of Constellations, the heavenly Een cult finally felt that something was amiss after not receiving any reports from the family Yi for a long time. A total of 20 bone messengers rushed towards Sky Fortune City from the distance, their faces gloomy and cold. In the end, all they saw was an empty and deserted city. No one knew where the people of Tianyun Wufu and the family Yi had gone. These bone emissaries would never believe that Yi Fei would dare to send everyone into the Demon Ceiling Pagoda, a place that even the Holy Lands didn't dare to casually touch. Similarly, the bone emissaries of the heavenly Een cult were no exception. They looked at the Demon Ceiling Pagoda from afar. In the end, they resisted the urge to destroy the entire Tianyun Wufu and quickly distanced themselves from the Demon Ceiling Pagoda with reverence. "Hey, what's that over there? It reeks of blood." A bone emissary with a keen sense of smell finally smelled the strong stench of blood coming from the other side of the city. Around the city walls stood many blood crows. Their eyes and feathers were blood-red, and they looked like they had eaten their fill. Even before they approached, they felt a chill run down their spines. When this group of bone emissaries really got close, they couldn't help but gasp. Even though they were ferocious, many of them couldn't help but want to vomit. The 10 missing white bone emissaries and more than 30 elite disciples of the Een Demon leaderboard were finally discovered. However, they had all turned into piles of white bones. The heads of the 10 bone messengers were piled up like a pagoda. The blood crows stood at the top and laughed coldly. And around the flock of blood crows, there were words written with white bones. Vow to destroy the heavenly Een cult. Such ruthless methods, such strong resentment. What kind of terrifying opponent did our heavenly Een cult provoke? 10 white bone emissaries and dozens of Een demon-ranking elites were all killed by Yi Fei. This kid deserves to be killed. It seems like we need to deploy more envoys to hunt down this Yi Fei. We can't let him return to the Holy Land and the Sword Peak. Then, the white bone emissaries suppressed their disgust and started to collect the corpses. However, everyone felt a chill in their hearts, especially the words written by Yi Fei. It was like a mountain that suppressed these martial honorables and made it hard for them to breathe. On the other side, the torrential river was like a long dragon that spanned across the entire Zhao kingdom. It separated the Zhao kingdom from its neighboring countries. Behind it were mountains and in front of it was an endless river. It formed a natural barrier that protected the Zhao kingdom. On this day, a group of powerful martial artists brought some old, weak women and children on a boat. They were prepared to cross the endless river and head to a new world. The emperor of Zhao kingdom stood in this group with his hand on his sword. He looked at the Zhao kingdom and the imperial city with a complicated expression. At this time, a eunuch rode a strange bird and descended from the sky. Your Majesty, the heavenly Een cult has already taken over the imperial city and everyone has surrendered. Your Majesty, please make a decision. Lu Chun, get up. I am no longer the emperor. From today onwards, the Zhao family is no longer the imperial family. You are no longer a subject. You can go and live the life you want. The emperor looked at Lu Chun with a complicated expression. Lu Chun knelt down respectfully beside the emperor and said in a low voice, Your Majesty will always be the emperor. It doesn't matter if his country is destroyed or if he has the throne. The emperor nodded and did not say anything else. He only used his strength to help up this old subject who used to be his life and death brother. Brother, these past 30 years have been hard on you. I swear that as soon as I return to the main clan, I will help you get the spirit medicine to heal your body, even if I have to kneel down and beg for it. The emperor's words were very serious. The imperial family experts who were guarding the area hesitated. Finally, the most senior person in the imperial family stepped forward and asked the emperor, Your Majesty, are we really going back to the main family? If we don't go back, are we going to stay in Zhao City and wait for death? I have already cut off the imperial family's dragon vein and handed the phoenix blood sword to Yi Fei. If we don't escape with you, once that old witch catches up with us, all of you will die except for me. But ever since our ancestor Zhao Xinjian swore to leave the main family and establish his own faction, we have not contacted the main family for over 1,000 years. If we go back now and live under someone else's roof, what if the main family doesn't take us in? Someone said with a worried expression. The emperor shook his head with a firm expression. That will not happen. We are not in dire straits. Don't forget that Zhao Xinjian and Zhao Qianjun came from our branch. This is our glory. Zhao Qianjun? The emperor's words caused many people to have complicated expressions. Many people subconsciously touched the ghost eye masks on their faces. What about Yi Fei? What should we do with Yi Fei? Your Majesty, should we spread the news that Yi Fei obtained the Phoenix Blood Sword? That way, the heavenly Een cult will stop hunting us down, Lu Chun suddenly suggested. Yi Fei? The emperor's gaze was perplexed. He turned his head and looked in the direction of the imperial city. He sighed and shook his head. He is loyal to my daughter. I cannot let him down. Pass down the order to cross the river. Yi Fei, this is all I can do. The rest will depend on you. Nan Ruofeng, the heavenly Een cult has sent news that they have officially conquered the Zhao kingdom and appointed a new emperor. Is this the revival of the Holy Land you mentioned? Also, Yi Fei is being hunted down and Zhao Yu has been forced to join the Heavenly Yin cult and become their saintess. Is this the plan of your direct disciple to revive the Holy Land? When Jing Wushou returned to the Holy Land, he immediately went to the successor mountain and looked for Nan Ruofeng. This was the first time Jing Wushou was angrier than ever since Yi Fei had ignored the ban and rushed out of the Holy Land. The Heavenly Yin cult's actions were not only a slap to the Holy Land's face, but also a slap to the face of the Holy Land. However, Nan Ruofeng was still as calm as ever. A group of elders reprimanded Jing Wushou. Jing Wushou, how can you say that? Nan Ruofeng is a direct disciple and the future master of the Holy Land. You should show some respect. So you're saying that you're not going to do anything about Yi Fei being hunted down by the Heavenly Yin cult? Jing Wushou looked at Nan Ruofeng angrily. Nan Ruofeng still did not speak. He seemed disdainful and cold. Huang Min beside him had already answered for him. She said sarcastically, Yi Fei? That arrogant and disrespectful person. Ruofeng already gave him a chance. He didn't know how to cherish it. What's wrong with sacrificing Zhao Yu? As long as Ruofeng is in the Holy Land, as long as he can buy time for the Holy Lord, who is in seclusion, to break through to the 12th level of the martial saint realm, it's worth it. Nan Ruofeng finally spoke. He looked at Jing Wushou with great pity. The sacrifice and forbearance now is for the sake of becoming stronger in the future. It's not enough to be hot-blooded in a high-level battle. The most important thing is still strength. Between the Holy Lord and the chief of the Heavenly Yin cult, whoever can enter the 12th level of the martial saint realm first will have the absolute advantage. Chapter 329. Great Merchant City Pa. In a cave on the border of the Zhao Kingdom, Yi Fei couldn't help but sneer when he sensed the identity medallion on his body that had broken in half. Nan Ruofeng, you finally couldn't hold back and attacked me. You said that I was an ant and looked down on me, but when the news of me killing Nangong Long reached the sacred land, you panicked and couldn't wait to use the Heavenly Yin sect to get rid of me. Looking at the identity medallion in his hand, Yi Fei didn't linger and threw the medallion that represented the Taishan sacred land to the corner of the cave. Every disciple of the sacred land had a special array that could communicate with the sacred land's small world. There were only two possibilities for the medallion to break. First, the disciple had died, and the array within the medallion would stop working. Second, the sacred land had forcefully cut off the connection between the medallion and the sacred land. This also meant that the disciple had been expelled from the sacred land. However, Nan Ruofeng, don't think that you can use the Heavenly Yin sect to kill me without the help of the sacred land. In a year, I will return to the sacred land and fight with you. Yi Fei's eyes flashed with determination before he sighed deeply. He had expected to be expelled from the sacred land. The only thing that made Yi Fei sigh was that from now on, he would be considered a stranger to his friends in the sacred land, Luo Shi, Jing Wushou, and the 10th Prince. Senior brothers and junior brothers, have a safe journey. Old Master Jian, I still failed to live up to your expectations. Yi Fei took out a jar of wine and poured half of it on the ground. He drank the other half in one gulp as a way of reminiscing the past. Then, as if nothing had happened, Yi Fei lowered his head and continued to loot the large amount of interspatial bags on his body. These interspatial bags were obtained by killing the experts of the Heavenly Yin sect. Since he couldn't obtain cultivation resources from the sacred land, the interspatial bags on the disciples of the Heavenly Yin sect were very precious. However, the disciples of the Heavenly Yin sect on the Yin demon ranking really have a lot of things on them. Just the Xian weapons alone are not enough for everyone. It's a pity that there are no treasured weapons. Yi Fei first opened the space of the dozens of Yin demon ranking disciples. He found that there were many treasures inside, but there were too few that were suitable for him. Other than finding a large pile of spiritual crystals, estimated to be 1 or 2,000 pieces, the rest were all top-grade Xian weapons used by ordinary martial ancestor realm experts, some earth-grade pills, some poisons used to harm people, and some cultivation techniques of the heavenly Yin sect. It's a pity that these cultivation techniques are extremely vicious. Other than the heaven-level lower tier, which is passable, the rest are simply a waste of time. Forget it, I'll pack these up and find a place to sell them for spirit crystals. Although spirit crystals were basically useless to Yi Fei now, in the world of warriors, spirit crystals were considered a hard currency. When one was injured, they could use the energy of spirit crystals to heal themselves. Yi Fei would not complain about having too many spirit crystals on him. Immediately after, Yi Fei could not wait to open the space of the 10 bone messengers that he had killed. Instantly, the treasures inside almost dazzled Yi Fei's eyes. Holy shit, the heavenly Yin cult is really rich. Every bone emissary is filthy rich. Just the heaven-grade jade blood pills alone, there are more than 500 of them. I just don't know if these pills can help me break through to the martial honorable realm. Yi Fei looked at the heaven-grade jade blood pills and swallowed his saliva. Immediately, he threw away the other things and worked hard to cultivate. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. Yi Fei had also finished refining the 500 jade blood pills that he had collected from the bone messengers. Unfortunately, he did not show any signs of breaking through to the martial honorable realm. Indeed, it is not that easy to break through to the martial honorable realm. It is not enough to rely on the accumulation of pills. The most important thing is to raise the quality of my dantian. As long as my talent is strong enough, it will be easier to break through to the martial honorable realm. Yi Fei finally understood that with the quality of his Earth Grade 6 dantian, it was still too difficult for him to break through to the martial honorable realm quickly. Fortunately, he had the immortal sword soul in his body. As long as the quality of the pills was high enough, he could continuously use them to raise the quality of his dantian. What I need to do next is not to cultivate, but to think of a way to obtain more heaven-grade jade blood pills. They cannot be ordinary heaven-grade 1 jade blood pills. With the immortal sword soul's pickiness, I need to obtain heaven-grade 2 jade blood pills to continue raising the quality of my dantian. After walking out of the cave, Yi Fei took the map that Jing Wushou had given him and continued on his journey. He left the border of the Zhao kingdom and continued to rush towards the Sea of Constellations. At the same time, he also paid attention to the nearby big cities so that he could deal with his spoils of war. Not long after Yi Fei had left the cave, Zhang Xian's expression changed. Swoosh, swoosh, whoosh. A total of more than 50 bone emissaries rushed angrily towards the cave that Yi Fei was hiding in. Unfortunately, they were a step too late. Yi Fei had already left, leaving behind only a shattered identity token. Damn it. That Yi Fei escaped before us again. Humph. He can escape as much as he wants. The experts of our heavenly Yin sect are all over the 18 countries of the Northern Sea. No matter which country he escapes to, we can immediately organize people to hunt him down. It's not enough to rely on the experts of our sect. We can also mobilize the sects of the various countries and the Wu province to work together to kill Yi Fei. As long as we promise enough benefits, there will naturally be experts who will take the initiative to hunt him down. The 50 bone emissaries discussed and instantly split into several groups. They spread out in all directions and continued to search for traces of Yi Fei's escape. Among them, more than 10 bone emissaries chased after Yi Fei. At this moment, Yi Fei did not know about it. Even if he knew, he would not care. With the Phoenix Blood Sword in hand, I don't have to worry about ordinary martial honorables. However, I have to be careful of the Golden Bone emissaries of the Heavenly Yin sect. It is said that they are all experts of rank 7 martial honorables and above. If I encounter them, I will be in danger. The most important thing now is to think of a way to quickly break through to the martial honorable realm and cultivate the third cycle of the Demon Emperor scripture. At that time, my war demon golden body should be able to withstand the attacks of martial honorables. Yi Fei flew quickly in the sky. At the same time, he was constantly paying attention to the changes in his surroundings. Soon, his eyes lit up. After flying over a barren mountain, he finally saw a huge city in front of him. At the city gate there was a huge Shang word. According to the map that Jing Wushou had left behind, Yi Fei knew that this was the 18 countries of the Northern Sea. It was an important branch of the Merchant Union. Basically, many precious treasures and elixirs were refined here and sent to the nearby countries. Chapter 330. Entering the Merchant Union. After entering the Great Shang City, Yi Fei realized how big the city was and how prosperous it was. If the Zhao Kingdom's imperial city was the wealthiest city in the Zhao Kingdom, then the Zhao Kingdom's imperial city would be the difference between the Great Shang City and the Great Shang City. In this place, not only were martial ancestor realm cultivators easy to see, there were also many martial honorable realm experts flying through the sky. In the deepest part of the Great Shang City, Yi Fei could faintly feel the aura of martial kings. The entire Great Shang City gave Yi Fei a feeling that it was not any weaker than the Holy Lands. However, this was only an important branch of the Merchant Union. It was not the actual headquarters of the Merchant Union, yet it was already so powerful and prosperous. How imposing would the headquarters of the Merchant Union be? Now I finally understand why the Merchant Union is able to flourish in the countless sects, holy lands, and even the territories controlled by the Devil sect. I did not expect the Merchant Union to be so powerful. Yi Fei walked into the Great Shang City and carefully observed his surroundings. The more crowded a place was, the more careful he had to be to avoid being ambushed by the Heavenly Een cult's expert. At the same time, Yi Fei also discovered that although the Great Shang City was a branch of the Merchant Union, there were not only mortals doing business here, but also disciples of other sects and holy lands who had come out to gain experience. Top-quality vicious beasts eggs, 500 spirit crystals for one, you can have as many as you want. Female barbarians captured from the barbarian country, their figures are top-notch and their housework is top-notch. As long as you give them food, they will definitely be very capable. 100 spirit crystals for one, brother, buy a pair. The peddler saw Yi Fei's gaze drifting, as if he was a kindred spirit. He quickly pulled Yi Fei back and insisted that Yi Fei buy 2 female barbarians. Not to mention warming the bed, ordering them around as maids is also not bad. Yi Fei could not help but have the urge to kick the peddler to death. At this time, the peddler on the other side suddenly attracted his attention. Star Sand, the specialty of the Star Moon Holy Land. If you don't buy it now, you won't have a chance. Star Moon Holy Land, the holy land that little sister is in. Could it be that there are people from the Star Moon Holy Land in the 18 countries of the Northern Sea? Yi Fei was extremely excited. In any case, it had been some time since Yi Fei had joined the Sacred Land. He was no longer an ignorant youth. For example, in the Martial Heaven continent, Yi Fei already knew that it was divided into 5 continents, the East, West, North, and South. There was also the most prosperous Central continent. Among them, the Taishan Holy Land and the Heavenly Een sect were located in the most barren northern state. The 18 countries of the North Sea were called barren lands in the central state. As for the Star Moon Holy Land, it was located in the most flourishing region of the Central Plains. That place was filled with outstanding talents and had gathered nearly half of the resources of the entire Tianwu continent. If Yi Fei wanted to go to the Star Moon Holy Land, it would not be like what the old mansion master had said. He would need a few years to reach the Star Moon Holy Land. That was based on the standards of a martial honorable. Most importantly, If a martial saint wanted to leave the 18 northern seas and enter the central province, other than their own strength, the most important thing was to use the 10,000-mile instant talisman. Without these two conditions, even a martial saint would not be able to reach the central province easily. It was very likely that they would meet with an accident and die along the way. At this moment, when Yi Fei heard that there were people hawking things from the Star Moon Holy Land, he was very excited. He almost could not help but run over and ask about the Star Moon Holy Land. Just at this moment, an arrogant voice dispelled Yi Fei's thoughts. The rumbling of horse hooves could be heard as 10 Heavenly Yin sect disciples charged into Great Shang City. The Heavenly Yin sect is here to do business. Those who are not involved scram. Pa, 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 pa. The horse whips whipped the crowd, scaring the people nearby into retreating. The street immediately became empty. Yi Fei was also hiding in the crowd, feeling apprehensive. The Heavenly Yin sect came so quickly. I have been carefully hiding my tracks these past few days, but they still managed to find this place. Luckily, the 10 Heavenly Yin sect disciples did not discover Yi Fei chasing after them. After clearing the crowd, they immediately pasted a few notices on the wall. All of you look carefully. This person is Yi Fei, the mortal enemy of my Heavenly Yin sect. Whoever can discover his whereabouts will be rewarded with 10,000 spirit crystals. Whoever kills him will be rewarded with 100,000 spirit crystals. You will also be able to receive personal guidance from the sect leader of the Heavenly Yin sect. Boom! All the martial artists in Great Shang City were in an uproar. 100,000 spirit crystals was already very eye-catching. At the same time, the personal guidance from the sect leader of the Heavenly Yin sect made countless martial artists' eyes turn red. Immediately, many martial artists shouted with red eyes, "Where is that Yi Fei? If I meet him, I will directly chop him into 8 pieces. Shu, do you want to die? I heard that Yi Fei is the #1 on the Mountain River list of the Tai Xian Holy Land. He even personally killed the #1 on the Yin Demon list, Nangong Long." Immediately, there were people who knew the situation and warned that person not to shout. Immediately, that person was so frightened that he shut his mouth tightly, not daring to say a word. There were also people who were well informed. Seeing that person's cowardice, they immediately sneered. "Haha, the #1 on the Mountain River list, that's a thing of the past. I heard that Yi Fei was removed from the Tai Xian Holy Land long ago. The current him is just a rogue martial artist with no one to rely on." Hearing the discussions around him, and seeing the 10 Heavenly Yin sect disciples bringing a large number of notices and flying out of the city, Yi Fei's eyes flashed with a cold glint. The Heavenly Yin sect is truly vicious. Not only are they chasing after me with all their might, they actually want to instigate the experts of the 18 countries in the North Sea to join forces and chase after me. I will remember this debt. Realizing that his whereabouts had been exposed, Yi Fei immediately turned and lowered his head. Just as he was about to walk out of Deshang City, a middle-aged martial artist dressed in green suddenly blocked Yi Fei's path. "Senior Yi Fei, it is great that you are able to come to Deshang City. I am the head of the Merchant Alliance, and under the orders of young Miss, I am here to invite Senior to the Merchant Alliance for a chat." The man spoke softly to prevent others from hearing him. Yi Fei looked at the head of the Merchant Alliance in shock. "When I entered the city, I specially disguised myself. How did you recognize me?" Slowly, Yi Fei was already on his guard. Merchants pursued prophets, who knew if they would leak his whereabouts to the Heavenly Yin sect. Understanding that Yi Fei was worried, the head of the Merchant Alliance chuckled and said, "Senior, please don't worry. Our Merchant Alliance has always been neutral. We definitely won't reveal your whereabouts. As for how we discovered Senior, did Senior forget about the token that young Miss gave Senior?" Yi Fei was stunned. Only now did he recall that when he had offended Nan Ruofeng, The Merchant Alliance seemed to have immediately determined that he wasn't Nan Ruofeng's match and had given him a recruitment token. He immediately took out the token and discovered that it was actually faintly flashing. The head of the Merchant Alliance explained, "Senior Yi Fei, this is our Merchant Alliance's VIP token. In order to prevent any VIP from appearing without us knowing or accidentally offending them, once this token approaches the Merchant Alliance, the array formation within it will automatically activate and alert us that an VIP has arrived." Damn. Yi Fei hadn't thought that this token would have a tracking function. He immediately had the urge to crush it. However, since the Merchant Alliance knew his whereabouts but didn't inform the Heavenly Een sect, this undoubtedly proved their sincerity. Chapter 331. What others discard, I'm not sure about that. If Senior wants to know, why don't you ask Eldest Miss in person? The Alliance Master said tactfully. Alright, I'll go. Yi Fei nodded. Since he had the Phoenix Blood Sword and the Immortal Sword Soul, and he was a half-step martial honor, Yi Fei was bold. He immediately followed the man into the Alliance, and went up to the empty VIP area on the second floor. Eldest Miss, Senior Yi Fei has been brought here. The Alliance Master bowed to the bead curtain not far away. The bead curtain was hazy, and he could not see the person clearly. He could only vaguely see that it was a woman. Yi Fei was not happy. Hiding the head but showing the tail. Is this the Alliance's sincerity? Oh, does young master like to see this servant's true appearance? It's just that this servant's appearance is simple and crude, and cannot compare to Princess Zhao Yu's devastatingly beautiful appearance. Furthermore, no one is like young Master Yi, who is willing to go all out for this servant's sake. Her voice was clear, melodious, and faintly carried a trace of temptation. The bead curtain was lifted and the eldest miss of the Alliance officially appeared. Although she did not have a simple appearance, she was still very beautiful. New Shanglua greets young Master Yi. Of course, if young master doesn't mind, you can call me by my nickname, Luo Xianzi. Yi Fei felt his face twitch and black lines appeared on his forehead. This woman was really confident. If her nickname is Luo Xianzi, then should I call myself Handsome Yi when I see people in the future? So it's eldest Miss Shang. May I know what you're looking for me for? Yi Fei asked calmly, without any particular fluctuation in his emotions. This surprised Shanglu. In the past, when she saw those handsome young men, no matter how noble they were, could not help but be attracted by her appearance. For example, Yi Fei was indifferent to her beauty. It was not that there were no such people, but it was definitely very rare. This made Shanglua regard Yi Fei even more highly. However, Shanglua did not explain his intentions. Instead, he asked, "Young Master Yi, before you ask me, shouldn't you explain your intentions?" My intentions? My intentions are simple. I happen to have a batch of treasures that I want to sell to the Alliance. I just don't know if the Alliance will dare to accept them. Yi Fei said in a serious tone. If he did not lack cultivation resources, he would not take the risk to try his luck at the Alliance. Shanglua vaguely understood something. He nodded and said, "It seems that young Master Yi is a little tight on money. Tell me, what do you want to sell? As long as it's a treasure, the Alliance will accept it. I will also give you a fair price." Shanglua looked proud when she mentioned the Alliance. She did not believe that Yi Fei would be able to take out any decent treasures in his current down-and-out state. She only said this to improve Yi Fei's impression of the Alliance and increase her bargaining chip to recruit Yi Fei. Yi Fei did not say anything. He only looked at the other Alliance leaders standing to the side. Shanglua smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, don't worry. They are all my trusted subordinates. They will not reveal the contents of the deal. May I know what treasures young Master Yi wants to sell?" Shanglua was clearly curious about what Yi Fei wanted to sell. Yi Fei did not say anything. He simply took out dozens of space bags. "These are the treasures I want to sell. The treasures of the 10 bone messengers and the space bags of the 35 experts of the demon ranking. Boom. Yi Fei's words greatly shocked the Alliance leaders. Shanglua could not help but widen her eyes. What? 10 bone messengers and 35 experts of the demon ranking from the heavenly cult. These were all killed by Yi Fei? Shanglua was extremely shocked. This was the first time that the young miss of the Alliance looked at Yi Fei with a serious expression. It was already very shocking that a half-step martial saint could kill Nangong Long. Who would have thought that Yi Fei could kill so many experts of the heavenly cult? If this news were to spread, Yi Fei would definitely become famous in the 18 nations of the Northern Sea. He was not a genius, but he was better than a genius. This was Shanglua's evaluation of Yi Fei in her heart. At the same time, this strengthened Shanglua's determination to recruit Yi Fei. She looked at Yi Fei with her beautiful big eyes. It was as if she was choosing a man. Without a doubt, compared to the iceberg Zhao Yu, the young miss of Shanglua was more passionate. Even though Yi Fei did not feel anything for this woman, he still felt his face heat up. Yi Fei quickly suppressed his emotions and frowned. What's wrong? You don't even dare to accept these treasures? Ha, young master, ye must be joking. Our alliance does not dare to accept these treasures. However, these are illegal goods. It is not good for us to auction them openly. We can only sell them to the black market. Therefore, we might lower the price, Shanglua said. No problem. As long as they can be sold. Yi Fei heaved a sigh of relief. He was in need of cultivation resources now. If he did not sell these things, they would be useless to him. Seeing that Yi Fei agreed, Shanglua immediately ordered a few managers to take away the space bag in front of Yi Fei and make an inventory. These managers were indeed Shanglua's trusted subordinate. They were very efficient. It did not take long for them to estimate the value of these items. Senior Yi, these items are worth a total of 200,000 spirit crystals. However, since they are illegal goods, our alliance will deduct 50,000 spirit crystals. We can only give you 150,000 spirit crystals. Senior, do you have any objections? Yi Fei was shocked by the alliance manager's words. It was true that killing and arson were the best. Yi Fei did not expect these items to be worth so much. Compared to the 50,000 spirit crystals deducted by the alliance, this was nothing. After all, these items did not belong to him. It was equivalent to earning 150,000 spirit crystals for free. Of course, Yi Fei would not reject this offer. I don't want spirit crystals. Please exchange them for heaven-class grade 2 elixirs. Yi Fei thought for a while and added, it would be best if they were core consolidating elixirs. Core consolidating elixirs were one of the best heaven-class grade 2 elixirs. They had the effect of nourishing one's dantian and were best used to improve the quality of one's dantian. Senior, please wait a moment. The 2 alliance managers took away all the space bags. The remaining manager quickly took out 150 core consolidating elixirs and handed them to Yi Fei. After checking that there were no mistakes, Yi Fei turned around and cupped his hands at Shanglua. He was about to leave. Shanglua would not let Yi Fei leave so easily. Young Master Yi, please wait. Now that your name has been removed from the sacred land, you are a free man. Would you be willing to join the alliance? As long as you are willing to join, the alliance will give you heaven-class elixirs and high-grade artifacts. Shanglua did not try to recruit Yi Fei as soon as they met. Instead, they waited for Yi Fei to complete the transaction. They had seen the alliance's generosity before they tried to recruit him. This way they would be more confident. However, whether it was the alliance or the Dark Sky sect, they had all misjudged Yi Fei. In their opinion, without the sacred land's protection, Yi Fei would be like a stray dog, hiding and running for his life. The alliance's attempt to recruit him was undoubtedly a timely help. However, in Yi Fei's eyes, the alliance had underestimated him. Yi Fei flatly refused. Miss Shanglua, I am very sorry. I am indebted to Sword Peak, so I cannot join the alliance at this time. Goodbye. Even if the Sacred Land removed him from the Sacred Land, as long as Elder Sword Maniac did not agree, he would still belong to Sword Peak. At the very least, he would not join any faction before he defeated Nan Ruofeng. Yi Fei turned to leave after he finished speaking. Chapter 332. Unromantic. Upon hearing the order, the business alliance leaders didn't care whether Yi Fei agreed or not. They quickly bowed and left, closing the door behind them. Immediately, only Yi Fei and Shangluo were left in the room. Seeing Shangluo grit her teeth and her beautiful face reveal a hint of shyness, Yi Fei suddenly had a very strange thought. Don't tell me this young miss is trying to use her beauty to seduce me after failing to seduce me? Yi Fei was already starting to regret meeting Shangluo. This woman was the kind of woman who was as passionate as fire and extremely difficult to deal with. Subconsciously, Yi Fei actually felt a little guilty and took a step back. This step also allowed the young miss to successfully find a sense of confidence and superiority. Humph, I thought this Yi Fei was very noble and virtuous. Isn't he just like the other young talents? A pervert who can't escape from this great ant's palm. Without any outsiders, Shangluo's true nature began to reveal itself. Of course, she despised Yi Fei in her heart, but on the surface, Shangluo was smiling like a flower and was as passionate as fire. As Yi Fei took a step back, Shangluo boldly took a step forward and blocked the door. She looked pitifully at Yi Fei and begged, "Young Master Yi, can you bear to see Nu alone and without anyone to depend on? Why don't you join the business alliance and stay by Nu's side in the future?" As she spoke, Shangluo deliberately stretched her waist seductively in front of Yi Fei. Just this action alone made Yi Fei feel his body heat up and black lines appear on his face. This woman was really using her beauty to seduce him. Especially since Shangluo herself was extraordinarily beautiful. In the face of such temptation, probably 8 out of 10 experts wouldn't be able to resist. It was also because of these little tricks, in addition to the business alliance's strong strength, that countless young talents over the years wanted to join the business alliance. Even a glance at Shangluo from afar was enough to make them happy. Unfortunately, Yi Fei couldn't even be bothered to look at Shangluo's little tricks, even though he had to admit that Shangluo was indeed extraordinarily beautiful. However, Yi Fei's martial heart was as firm as a rock. After all, Yi Fei had climbed up from the bottom. Only after experiencing it could one understand how difficult it was. Only after experiencing loss could one understand how heavy the burden was. Therefore, Shangluo's little tricks might be effective on those young talents who pursued romance, but in the eyes of Yi Fei, who pursued martial arts wholeheartedly and had suffered too many losses, it was just a joke. Faintly, a look of disgust appeared on Yi Fei's face. When he saw Shangluo, he couldn't help but recall the sad expression on Zhao Yu's face before he was taken away. Then, Yi Fei felt an indescribable pain in his heart, as if he was being pricked by needles. "Get out of my way!" Yi Fei tried his best to suppress his anger as he stared coldly at Shangluo. Shangluo was stunned and thought to herself, "What does this guy mean? I've already sacrificed so much, but he's still not satisfied? Humph, he must be pretending." The eldest miss was unconvinced. She was very confident in her appearance. Even if she couldn't surpass Zhao Yu, they were still evenly matched. This Yi Fei even dared to offend the Dark Sky sect in order to save Zhao Yu. How can I be inferior to the princess of a small country? There are no good men in this world. I'm going to expose his hypocrisy now. Thinking of this, Shangluo made up her mind. Not only did she not move out of the way, she even gave Yi Fei a seductive look. She blinked her eyes and said, "Yi Fei, seeing that you're a talent, I'll allow you to pursue me after you join the Merchant Alliance. You should be satisfied with this condition, right?" Shangluo proudly puffed out her chest and pretended to be seductive. However, she was sneering in her heart. As for how long it would take for Yi Fei to have the right to pursue her after he joined the Merchant Alliance, that would depend on the eldest Mrs. Mood. If she was happy, perhaps she would give him a chance after 10 years. If she was unhappy, perhaps Yi Fei wouldn't be able to get close to her for 100 years. After hearing Shangluo's condition, and seeing that the little girl in front of him was acting like an adult, Yi Fei was speechless. He simply reached out and pushed Shangluo, who was standing at the door, to the side. Then, he opened the door and was about to walk out. Little girl, if you want to use a honey trap in the future, remember to find a mature one. Your body hasn't even grown up yet. No matter how much cotton you stuff, it won't work. Not only did Yi Fei push Shangluo away, he even turned around and mocked her. Then, he opened the door and was about to leave. Shangluo was so angry that her face turned red. All the young experts that she had tried to recruit had never failed. Moreover, no one was as barbaric as Yi Fei. Not only did he reject her, he even pushed her away. Shangluo was suddenly filled with anger. She shouted, "Yi Fei, if you leave like this, aren't you afraid that I'll tell the heavenly insect that you're here?" Boom! A sword light flashed and left a deep ditch in front of Shangluo. Yi Fei rushed into the sky without looking back. He only left behind a cold sentence. "Little girl, I don't care how powerful your merchant alliance is, but you'd better not provoke me. That's all I have to say." But another command medallion fell in front of Shangluo. It was cut in half by sword chi. Yi Fei had destroyed the command medallion that Shangluo had given him. This clearly showed Yi Fei's attitude. He had no interest in joining the Merchant Alliance. However, the Merchant Alliance is really powerful. Not only is it powerful, but it also has many talent. Just look at this Shangluo. She's only 14 or 15 years old, but she's not only experienced in handling matters, but she also knows how to use her advantages to use a honey trap. As expected, the more beautiful a woman is, the more dangerous she is. Yi Fei didn't stay in Great Shang City for long. He rushed out of the Merchant Alliance and left as quickly as possible. He was so fast that even the Merchant Alliance's experts couldn't react in time. By the time Shangluo regained her senses, Yi Fei had already disappeared without a trace. Shangluo was furious. This was definitely the most serious defeat she had suffered since she came to the 18 countries of the North Sea. What made Shangluo even more puzzled was that she had clearly used an illusion technique to change her age in advance, making her look mature and beautiful, but Yi Fei seemed to be able to see through her illusion technique. Of course, if Shangluo knew that Yi Fei still had a strong mental consciousness left behind by the first holy master in his mind, she wouldn't be so confused. What an unromantic bastard! Bang! The illusion disappeared and Shangluo's gentle and beautiful appearance suddenly became more tender. She instantly changed from an 18-year-old girl to a 14 or 15-year-old lowly. Eldest Miss, Yi Fei doesn't know what's good for him. He actually dared to be rough with you. Do you need us to capture him? More than 10 martial honorables from the Merchant Alliance silently appeared beside Shangluo and asked respectfully. Forget it. Yi Fei was able to kill so many white bone messengers. Ordinary martial honorables won't be able to stop him. Shangluo waved her hand. Her tender face was calm and confident. Hearing Shangluo's words, the experts from the Merchant Alliance hesitated. In the end, one of the managers plucked up his courage and reminded her with a strange expression, "Eldest Miss, are you really not going to pursue this matter? That Yi Fei did something to your body." "My body." Chapter 333. Earth Grade 9. She was so surprised that Yi Fei was not tempted by her beauty and refused to join the Merchant Alliance. After being reminded, Shangluo, who had returned to her little girl form, was shocked to find out what Yi Fei had done to her body before he left. Shangluo's body, which was originally stuffed with cotton, had been shattered by Yi Fei's terrifying sword energy. From the outside, Shang Luo's body looked like a deflated balloon that was deflating rapidly. This was also the reason why the managers were so angry. They thought that Yi Fei had caused some serious damage to Shang Luo's body before he left. However, Yi Fei's sword energy had only accidentally damaged 2 balls of cotton. When Shang Luo saw that her body had deflated, her face turned as red as blood. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. Following this, Shang Luo's childlike screams resounded throughout Dashang City. Yi Fei, I won't forgive you. I'm going to tear you into pieces. Shang Luo was so angry that she was about to vomit blood. She secretly regretted letting Yi Fei off. When the managers saw Shang Luo's angry expression, they were also angry. They said in a low voice, "Eldest Miss, should we ask Third Master to come out of seclusion?" Third Master? Shang Luo's expression changed. She couldn't help but look at her body, which was still deflated. Her face quickly turned red. Yi Fei had actually done such a shameless thing to her. If she told her elders, wouldn't it be even more embarrassing? None of you are allowed to tell anyone about what happened today. Besides, this is a matter between the younger generation. I don't believe that I can't take revenge on my own. Eldest Miss, you mean? The managers bowed and asked. Bang! With a thought, Shang Luo once again transformed from a little girl into a beautiful young lady. She gently stroked the messy hair on her forehead. Despite her young age, Shang Luo's eyes flashed with the light of wisdom. Humph! Isn't Yi Fei being hunted down by the Dark Sky sect? You guys, immediately reveal his whereabouts to the Dark Sky sect. Eldest Miss, are you going to betray Yi Fei and use the Dark Sky sect to kill him? One of the manager's eyes lit up. When Shang Luo heard this, she kept sneering. Yi Fei will be letting him off too easy. My plan is to wait until they are both Yi Fei and Yi Fei's Cloud Sky sect. When Cloud Sky sects Cloud Sky sect and Sky sects Cloud sect, we will save Yi Fei. When that time comes, we will save Yi Fei's studios and Cloud Sky sect. When Yi Fei is Yi, 9 Shang Luo Sky was my sect. Shang Luo's words scared the managers of the Merchant Alliance so much that they all trembled in fear. Yi Fei, who had already left Dashang City, suddenly couldn't help but sneeze loudly. Who is cursing me? Don't tell me that the Dark Sky Sex people are chasing after me. This won't do. I must immediately find a place to increase my strength. As the scale of the Dark Sky Sex pursuit grew larger, Yi Fei didn't dare to let his guard down. He quickly found a hidden cave and hid in it, preparing to refine the sky rank elixir he had obtained. Of course, Yi Fei didn't know that the sword qi he had unintentionally released before he left had actually caused the little girl's chest to collapse. At this moment, Shang Luo was already gnashing her teeth and preparing to take revenge. Otherwise, Yi Fei would definitely run away as fast as he could. After all, offending the Dark Sky sect was already very troublesome. If he offended the Merchant Alliance, whose forces were spread across the 18 countries of the North Sea, then it would really be difficult for him to move forward. After fiddling around the cave for a while and confirming that there was no danger, Yi Fei immediately took out the 150 soul condensing pills he had obtained. The spiritual qi of these pills was even more astonishing than the blue blood pill of the Dark Sky sect. After all, the blue blood pill was only a first-grade heaven rank elixir, but the soul condensing pill was a second-grade heaven rank elixir. Every time he increased the grade of the elixir, the spiritual qi inside would double. In the 18 countries of the North Sea, where spirit stones were extremely scarce, elixirs were the fastest shortcut for a cultivator to increase their strength. However, Yi Fei wasn't using these elixirs to increase his strength. He was preparing to use them to increase the quality of his dantian. Without a special physique, if one wanted to quickly break through to the next realm, relying on bitter cultivation alone wouldn't be effective. The key was that the quality of his dantian was high enough. This way, whether it was cultivation speed or breaking through bottlenecks, he would have a great advantage. 1. Sensing the astonishing spiritual chi of the soul-condensing pills, the slumbering undying sword soul couldn't wait to wake up. It seemed like it was in a hurry to consume these elixirs. When it discovered the existence of the undying sword soul, the restless phoenix blood sword that Yi Fei had placed beside him suddenly lost its fiery glow. With a whoosh, it was so frightened that it burrowed into Yi Fei's dimensional bag and didn't dare to appear again. Yi Fei sweated when he saw this. The phoenix blood sword was a sacred artifact embryo, but it was actually so afraid of the undying sword soul's aura. However, now wasn't the time to be concerned about the phoenix blood sword. He still had to increase the quality of his dantian as much as possible. I just don't know how much these elixirs can increase my talent. Yi Fei swallowed a soul-condensing pill and started using the undying sword soul to absorb the elixir's spiritual chi. At the same time, the undying sword soul continuously released waves of weak black energy. At this moment, Yi Fei finally realized how difficult it was to increase the talent of an Earth-grade talent. In the past, when he swallowed an elixir, the sword soul would release waves of energy. After increasing it to an Earth-grade 6th grade, the black energy would weaken by more than half. Perhaps this is the biggest difference between those who have a special constitution and those who don't. Martialists with special constitutions or ancient bloodlines can continuously strengthen their constitution and bloodlines to obtain a stronger dantian quality. On the other hand, martialists without special constitutions or bloodlines don't have this advantage. Without special fortuitous encounters, many people won't be able to increase the quality of their dantian in their entire lives. Fortunately, I have the undying sword soul. As long as I have it, I will have the confidence to contend with Nan Ruofeng and those true geniuses. Yi Fei had always believed that the peak of martial arts didn't only belong to those geniuses with special constitutions. I also believe that no matter how ordinary a martialist is, as long as he has a firm enough martial heart, even an ant can shake a tree. Even the weak can realize their dreams of becoming strong. Where there is a will, there is a way. Heaven will not let down those who work hard. Undying sword soul, please don't disappoint me. Yi Fei silently thought to himself. Then, he madly used the undying sword soul to refine the spirit chi of the condensing soul elixir. At this moment, the undying sword soul seemed to have sensed Yi Fei's rock-solid martial heart and his desire to become stronger. A large amount of black energy surged out like a tide and poured into Yi Fei's dantian. Boom! Yi Fei felt as if something in his dantian had shattered. A total of 6 black halos appeared on Yi Fei's body. Then there were 7, 8. The color of the halos constantly deepened and faintly appeared. A mysterious pattern appeared on Yi Fei's body. The beast mark that was originally pressed against Yi Fei's shoulder was now faintly emitting a moonlight luster. It was silently moistening and quietly changing Yi Fei's body. Unfortunately, Yi Fei, who was immersed in his cultivation, didn't realize this. He could only silently feel that the quality of his dantian in his body was improving bit by bit. Finally, Yi Fei consumed all the condensing soul elixirs in his hand. Boom! Chapter 334. The Golden Bones Attack. 152nd grade Tian ranked core concentrating pills are enough to raise the quality of my dantian to 9th grade D ranked. This was definitely a pleasant surprise. Yi Fei initially thought it would be good enough if he could break through to 8th grade D ranked with this amount of pills. It seems like I've underestimated the power of 2nd grade Tian ranked pills. If I can get my hands on some more, it won't be a problem for me to break through to 10th grade D-ranked pills. Yi Fei could not help but let his imagination run wild. The undying sword spirit immediately sensed Yi Fei's thoughts. Instantly, a disdainful feeling was transmitted into Yi Fei's heart. It was obvious that the sword spirit's bad habit of being picky about its food was acting up again. This time, it was even more extreme. It did not even bother to absorb the second-grade Tian-ranked core concentrating pills. Yi Fei really wanted to pull the immortal sword spirit out of his body and stomp on it a few times. One had to know that in order to get these soul-concentrating pills, he had already thought of all kinds of method. He was almost seduced by a little girl, but this immortal sword spirit actually disdained to absorb it. Helpless, Yi Fei could not do anything about it. He could only dejectedly realize that he would not be able to satisfy the undying sword spirit's appetite without third-grade Tian-ranked pills the next time he wanted to improve his Dantian's quality. It seems like I'll have to find a time to show myself and try to attract the bone messengers of the heavenly insect to kill me. Then, I'll take the opportunity to steal their treasures. After tasting the benefits, Yi Fei really wanted to take the initiative to hunt down the experts of the heavenly insect to obtain their treasures. Unfortunately, compared to stealing the treasures, the most important thing now is to rescue my master, the Demon Emperor. As long as the Demon Emperor appears, the little heavenly insect will not be able to withstand his breath. Yi Fei sighed helplessly when he thought of Zhao Yu, who had been taken to the heavenly insect and forced to become their saintess. He then collected his thoughts and tried to cultivate the third layer of the Demon Emperor's scripture. Although I haven't broken through to the Martial Highness realm, it's still possible for me to cultivate the third layer of the Demon Emperor's scripture as a half-Martial Highness. However, when I was fighting with the Bone Envoy, I suddenly comprehended the Slaughter Fist intent, which was a bit unexpected. In the future, when I have time, I need to pay attention to some powerful fist arts. Yi Fei pondered silently as he immersed himself in his cultivation. This was also the 7th day since he entered the cave. In the past, Yi Fei would change his hiding place every 3 to 5 days. He wouldn't give the heavenly Yin cult a chance to find his whereabouts. However, improving the quality of his Dantian had wasted a lot of Yi Fei's time. Furthermore, the Business Alliance had intentionally leaked information to him. On this day, more than a dozen uninvited guests had gathered outside the cave. The leader of this group was dressed in a hooded black robe of the heavenly Yin cult. There wasn't a white bone hanging on his neck. Instead, there was a golden skull hanging on his neck. It's actually the Golden Bone Envoy. Young mistress, this is going to be difficult. I reckon that Yi Fei will be killed instantly. In the clouds far away, the experts of the Business Alliance were protecting the little lowly Shangluo. Through a special crystal wall, they saw the Golden Bone Envoy of the heavenly Yin cult leading more than a dozen bone envoys to quietly surround Yi Fei. Their expressions were very serious. Shangluo still maintained her beautiful image as a young mistress. However, when she spoke, she gave people the impression that she was a bad girl. TSK, I thought that it would be some expert. In the end, it's just a 7th-level Martial Highness, the Golden Bone Envoy. The amulet that third uncle gave me can instantly kill a 10th-level Martial Highness realm expert. Boom. Shangluo's words shocked the experts of the Business Alliance who were responsible for protecting her. Then, they relaxed and secretly observed the situation. At this moment, under the leadership of the Golden Bone Envoy, more than a dozen Martial Highnesses worked together and used the ability that only Martial Highnesses could open up space. In an instant, they opened up a 3-mile radius area into a secure secret realm. This also completely cut off any possibility of Yi Fei escaping from the cave. Ha ha ha, this idiot still hasn't discovered it. He actually dared to go into seclusion inside. As expected of the Golden Bone Envoy. With just a small trick, Yi Fei became a bird in a cage. This time, Yi Fei won't be able to escape even if he grows wings. The secret realm was successfully opened. However, there was no reaction from the inside of the cave. The dozen bone envoys were all laughing loudly as they quickly flattered the Golden Bone Envoy. The Golden Bone Envoy's expression was very serious as he instructed in a deep voice, "Everyone, don't lower your guard. This Yi Fei was able to kill Nangong Long and the 10 bone envoys of the Heavenly Een cult. If he doesn't have a treasure, then he must have some special killing technique. Everyone, let's work together and kill Yi Fei. Kill. After receiving the order, the dozen or so bone emissaries charged into the cave without saying a word. Rumble! Rumble! A huge battle instantly broke out in the cave, causing the entire cave to collapse. The dozen or so bone emissaries were all buried within. What's going on? The Golden Bone Envoy finally realized that something was wrong. The experts of the Merchant Union, who were secretly observing, were also shocked. They did not understand what was going on. At this moment, rumble! Outside the temporary secret realm, a figure had already charged toward the Golden Bone Envoy, leaving behind a series of afterimages. Since Yi Fei had decided to go into seclusion to improve his talent, he naturally would not forget about the Heavenly Een cult, which was his biggest threat. As the saying goes, a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. Blackrock City was a barren place with incomparably dangerous mountains and rivers. Almost all the children who grew up in Blackrock City were excellent hunters. Yi Fei was no exception. When Yi Fei had entered the cave, he had prepared a way out in advance. He had dug out a 10-mile-long secret passage in the cave. This was so that if he was surrounded by the Heavenly Een cult, it would be difficult to retreat. The Golden Bone Envoy of the Heavenly Een cult thought that their encirclement was well hidden. In fact, with Yi Fei's powerful mental senses, Yi Fei had already discovered them when they had approached the cave. Without any hesitation, Yi Fei immediately retreated along the secret tunnel and hid in the dark to observe. When he discovered that there were more than a dozen bone envoys, and the leader was the Golden Bone Envoy again. At this moment, Yi Fei, who had gone crazy from poverty, suddenly had an extremely bold idea. He would purposely lure the Bone Envoy into the cave and trigger the defensive trap that he had set up in advance. Taking advantage of this time, Yi Fei quickly charged toward the Golden Bone Envoy alone and instantly used his killing move. Kill. Raging Fist Kill. Boundless killing intent caused Yi Fei's blood to start boiling. If he was surrounded, Yi Fei would definitely not dare to face the Golden Bone Envoy, who was a rank 7 Martial Honorable, head-on. However, if it was a one-on-one fight, Yi Fei was still confident that he could fight with the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hand. At this moment, Yi Fei wanted to take advantage of the time when the Bone Envoys were temporarily trapped to attack first and instantly kill the Golden Bone Envoy. The eldest Miss of Shangluo, who was secretly observing, was the first to realize Yi Fei's intention. She and the experts of the Merchant Alliance beside her were instantly shocked. Chapter 335. Instant Execution. Seeing Yi Fei rush out, Shangluo's eldest sister immediately judged that Yi Fei was either an idiot or had a screw loose in his head. No wonder he's so unromantic and can resist my charm. So he's a fool. The Merchant Alliance doesn't need someone like him. After speaking, Shangluo turned around and left with the experts of the Merchant Alliance. After all, Yi Fei had acted so rashly that she did not even have the chance to save him. Rather than seeing a bloody scene and having nightmares at night, it was better to return to the Merchant Alliance. At that moment, Yi Fei did not know that while he was plotting against the Golden Bone Envoy, the people of the Merchant Alliance were also plotting against him in secret. Yi Fei's 7 murderous fists exploded with full force. His full circle realm and 10% fist intent made his fist even more powerful and murderous. Rumble! The fist shadows smashed into the air, creating a loud explosion. The experts of the Merchant Alliance, who were about to leave, were shocked. What is going on with Yi Fei? Rumor has it that he has comprehended sword intent. Why is he using fist intent now? What? After comprehending sword intent, Yi Fei can also comprehend fist intent. The experts of the Merchant Alliance were not the only ones who were shocked. Actually, the Golden Bone Envoy was also shocked when he saw the White Bone Envoy fall into the trap and get buried in the cave. When he saw Yi Fei rushing over, the Golden Bone Envoy sneered disdainfully. After all, he was a rank 7 Martial Honorable, while Yi Fei was only a half-step to Martial Honorable. He had not even broken through to the Martial Honorable realm. Unless Yi Fei had a heaven-defying talent like the ancient emperor, he would not be able to kill the Golden Bone Envoy, who was 1 rank higher than him and 8 ranks higher than him. However, such a talent might not appear even once in 10,000 years. The Golden Bone Envoy did not think that Yi Fei had such a heaven-defying talent. Therefore, when Yi Fei charged out alone like this, the Golden Bone Emissary saw it as a joke and overestimation of his own abilities. There was a difference of 1 major cultivation level between them, and 8 minor cultivation levels. If Yi Fei could still kill him like this, then he, the Envoy of Golden Bones, could really kill himself. Golden Bone Envoy was about to use his most brutal martial arts to kill Yi Fei when he saw Yi Fei use a martial art. It was not a sword art but a fist art. The most terrifying thing was that Yi Fei's fist technique also contained 10% fist intent. However, 10% fist intent was nothing to an expert like the Golden Bone Envoy. However, the Heavenly Een cult knew very well that Yi Fei's most powerful sword intent was his most powerful sword intent. Even the Sky Een cult's church master was jealous when he heard about the 2 sky extinguishing swords. However, Yi Fei had actually used fist intent, which shocked the Envoy of Golden Bones. Everyone knew that it was extremely difficult for a martialist to comprehend martial intent. The vast majority of martialists would never be able to comprehend martial intent in their entire life. Only a small number of martialists with good comprehension skills would be able to comprehend martial intent. At the same time, this small number of martialists could also reach the martial honorable realm. However, most of them would only be able to comprehend 1 martial intent in their entire lives, which was already considered their limit. Take Yi Fei for example, who had been able to comprehend both sword intent and fist intent to form dual martial intent. No matter where he went, he would be considered a demonic genius. At the very least, he would be able to comprehend martial intent. How could the Envoy of Golden Bones not be shocked? He subconsciously slowed down his movements, and a crazy killing intent appeared in his eyes. Dual martial intents, Yi Fei. You are just an ordinary ant, but your comprehension skills are demonic. It's a pity that you are not from the Sky Een cult. Now I will let you know how terrifying a level 7 martial honorable is. After the Envoy of Golden Bones recovered from his shock, he quickly regained his senses. He planned to use his strongest attack to kill Yi Fei mercilessly. When he saw that a demonic genius was about to die at his hands, the Envoy of Golden Bones couldn't help but reveal an excited and cruel smile. Is that so? I would like to see how big the gap between us is. The War Demon Golden Body's strong physical defense allowed Yi Fei to easily deal with the aura of a level 7 martial honorable. The 7 Annihilation Fist in his left hand was just a facade that Yi Fei had used to paralyze the Envoy of Golden Bones. Yi Fei's true killing move was the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hand. Sky Extinguishing Sword, Sky Burying Move. Boom, boom, boom. Sword light flashed and the heavens and earth shook. Yi Fei waved the Phoenix Blood Sword in his right hand. The embryo of a sacred weapon caused Yi Fei's strength to reach the level of a level 5 martial honorable in an instant. Devouring Sword Intent. A huge black hole appeared at the tip of the Phoenix Blood Sword, causing Yi Fei's attack power to increase tremendously. Yi Fei estimated that the strength of the sword was at least at the level of a level 8 martial honorable. Everywhere the Phoenix Blood Sword passed, the heavens and earth shook violently. The Envoy of Golden Bones' body also shook. What? Punching with your left hand and sword with your right hand? Could it be that you have comprehended the heart integrated into sword? No wonder you were able to kill Nangong Long. Oh no, blood demon stab. Boom. A look of terror could be seen on Emissary Goldbone's face as he sensed the sword light, which seemed capable of burying heaven and earth. Immediately, he drew on all the power he could muster, even going so far as to injure himself by digging out one of his ribs. Then, he stabbed it toward Yi Fei, glowing with terrifying blood-colored light and devilish light. Suppress him. The Phoenix Blood Sword was slowly pushed forward. Yi Fei had received personal guidance from the Sword Maniac Elder and was no longer at the stage where he only knew how to copy the Sky Destroyer sword. Yi Fei now understood the flexible combination of sword move. He had completely integrated the ancient Supreme Emperor's sword moves into his own attack. This was the way of the sword. This was the heart integrated into sword. The bloody blood demon stab was instantly suppressed by the repulsive force of the heaven-burying style and stopped in midair. Yi Fei's body easily dodged the blood demon stab from the side. At the same time, the Phoenix Blood Sword in Yi Fei's hand was blazing with flames as it instantly pierced through the envoy of Golden Bone's head. It's actually the Phoenix Blood Sword. It's actually in your hands, bam. After saying this, the envoy of Golden Bones finally couldn't hold on any longer. His head exploded and his body was instantly turned into ashes by the flames of the Phoenix Blood Sword. A golden space bag floated in midair and Yi Fei quickly grabbed it. Yi Fei's eyes instantly lit up and he laughed. It's actually a golden space bag. The envoy of Golden Bones is indeed much fatter than the envoy of White Bones. Much fatter? This kid is being hunted by the heavenly insect. Not only is he not afraid, he even dares to treat us as fat lambs to be slaughtered. Heavens, this is too terrifying. This Yi Fei is too demonic. That was the envoy of Golden Bones, a rank 7 martial honorable, but he was actually instantly killed by him. Chapter 336. Heaven and Earth Supreme Leaderboard. In an instant, he attacked and killed in one strike. The Golden Bone emissary had already died at Yi Fei's hands. At this moment, the dozen or so White Bone emissaries who had fallen into the trap and been buried in the cave rushed out of the cave in a somewhat sorry state. They blasted out a large hole in the mountain and rushed out with ashen faces. Then, they saw a scene that shocked them. The Golden Bone envoy who had led the group, a powerful rank 7 martial honorable expert, had actually been killed by Yi Fei. At the same time, Yi Fei was holding the Zhao clan's Phoenix Blood Sword that the Sky Een cult had always wanted. The killing intent in their bodies turned into intense fear. At this moment, they finally understood how those White Bone envoys had been killed by Yi Fei. Yi Fei actually had the embryo of a sacred artifact like the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hands. As long as he had the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hands, even an ordinary martial ancestor expert would have the strength to kill a martial honorable, not to mention that Yi Fei was only a half-step martial honorable. The dozen White Bone envoys turned around and fled. They no longer had the arrogance and confidence they had at the beginning. Layers of demonic chi turned into a blood screen that covered the sky in front of Yi Fei. The White Bone envoys were extremely sullen. Originally, they should have been the hunters and should have chased Yi Fei until he had nowhere to go. What was terrifying was that Yi Fei actually had a terrifying killing weapon like the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hands. These powerful martial honorable experts had instantly turned from hunters to prey and were forced to retreat in humiliation. Yi Fei, just you wait. You killed an expert of the Sky Een cult and dared to possess the Phoenix Blood Sword. The Sky Een cult will definitely not let you off. Some White Bone envoys were unwilling to accept this and left behind ruthless words as they fled. A flaming sword light was the first to find the person who had spoken. Before the sword slashed down, the blazing flames had already ignited the person's body, and he fell to the ground like charcoal. Pooh! Another White Bone envoy was slightly slower and was caught by Yi Fei. With a sweep of the sword, the white bone envoy's head was already in Yi Fei's hand. His face was filled with extreme shock and fear. The other white bone envoys who had escaped had not expected Yi Fei, who had the phoenix blood sword, to be so terrifying. Not only did he ignore the demonic chi fog that they had released, but he also instantly killed 2 of their companions. The phoenix blood sword's power is actually so terrifying? Not good, let's escape. These white bone envoys, and white bone envoys, they immediately scattered Yi Fei's white bone envoy. In their panic, they had completely forgotten that in order to completely trap Yi Fei and prevent him from escaping, they had even worked together to create an extremely firm secret zone. Aside from the direction where the golden bone envoys were standing, there was only one opening in the secret space. Even if 10 first or second level martial saints worked together, they wouldn't be able to break through it. Originally, the Dark Sky religion had prepared this kind of prison for Yi Fei. But now, it had become a cage for the Dark Sky religion's experts. No matter how fast these people fled in the mystic realm or how scattered they were just caged bird. Yi Fei only had to do one thing, and that was to leisurely guard the only gap in the mystic realm and wait for the bone envoys to rush up and die one by one. Such an awkward situation made the white bone envoys of the Dark Sky religion so angry that their faces became distorted. They could only run around the secret space like headless flies. It was a comical and laughable scene. Seeing this scene, the eldest miss of Shangla held her forehead and helplessly shook her head. Are these envoys of the Dark Sky religion crazy? They clearly know that Yi Fei has the Phoenix blood sword, but they actually set up this kind of suicidal secret space. Cough cough, eldest miss, when the Dark Sky religion set up this inescapable trap, they didn't expect Yi Fei to have the Phoenix blood sword. Otherwise, this kind of trap would definitely be able to trap Yi Fei to death in the secret space. What a pity! It's a pity that Yi Fei actually had the embryo of a sacred artifact. Now, he has become one of the Dark Sky religion's envoys and is trapped to death. The experts of the Merchant Alliance looked at the white bone envoys struggling in the secret space with sympathetic gazes. They were actually trapped to death by their own secret space. These white bone envoys would probably die from anger once again. Seeing that they were cornered, the white bone envoys were filled with resentment and they rushed towards Yi Fei. Roar, Yi Fei, even if we die, we will drag you down with us. Boom, boom, boom. The remaining 5 white bone envoys charged towards Yi Fei with grievances and humiliation. At the same time, they used the Dark Sky religion's most vicious corpse explosion technique. The self-destruction of 5 martial honorables was terrifying. Even the impenetrable space of the secret realm was torn apart by the explosions. Devouring sword intent. Yi Fei didn't panic in the face of danger. With a thought, he waved the Phoenix blood sword and released the devouring sword intent. A huge black hole appeared above Yi Fei's head and instantly devoured the shattered blood demon light that approached him. Boom, boom. The space of the secret space finally couldn't withstand the power of the self-destruction of the white bone envoys, and it exploded into pieces. Even the spatial bags were blown into ashes. Yi Fei's body also cracked under the power of the explosion. His face was covered in dust and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, the 50% sword intent and the devouring sword intent formed by the Phoenix blood sword allowed Yi Fei to successfully withstand the wave of self-destruction. With a flash, Yi Fei left the shattered space and charged into the distant sky. How can this be? Yi Fei only suffered light injuries when he faced the self-destruction of 5 martial saints at the same time. It should be related to the sword intent that he comprehended. A sword intent that can form a black hole. Yi Fei's comprehension is too terrifying. If he can survive the pursuit of the Dark Sky religion, he will definitely have a place on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. The experts of the Merchant Alliance were shocked. They had already connected Yi Fei to the true demonic geniuses on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. Shanglua's expression turned grave. Those who can be on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list are the true geniuses of the generation. In the entire 18 countries of the North Sea, only Nan Ruofeng and a few others can barely squeeze into the Earth ranking list. However, with the Phoenix Blood Sword, Yi Fei might be able to rush to the bottom of the Heaven ranking list. Big Miss, what should we do now? Yi Fei seems to have escaped with injuries. Should we chase after him? An expert of the Merchant Alliance asked. Chase, we must chase after him. Shang Luo looked at her bulging body and her face flushed red. She gritted her teeth and gritted her teeth. Putting aside the shameless things that Yi Fei had done to her, Yi Fei had the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hand. She couldn't let Yi Fei escape so easily. Quickly inform Third Uncle and ask him to rush over. I didn't expect the rumor that Zhao has the embryo of a sacred artifact to be true. Since we have discovered it, we must not miss it. Shanglua instructed. The third uncle that she mentioned was a martial king expert who was in seclusion in Deshang City. He was also the strongest expert by Shanglua's side. However, he was a little crazy and would cause trouble whenever he came out. Usually, no one would dare to trouble this third uncle unless it was a big matter. Chapter 337. Back thrust. The eyes of the experts in the surroundings lit up. They knew that Shanglo was interested in the Phoenix Blood Sword in Yi Fei's hands. They immediately took out a message transmission talisman and were about to release it. Boom! A bright sword radiance came from afar and smashed onto the message transmission talisman. The message transmission talisman turned into dust and fell from the sky. Who dares to attack the Merchant Alliance? The experts of the Merchant Alliance reacted quickly. Two of them quickly used their bodies to block Shanglu. The others released their martial honorable realm auras and charged towards the cloud that had attacked them. 3 rank 3 martial honorable realm experts are only used as guards? The Merchant Alliance's strength is indeed shocking. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have schemed against me. You shouldn't have coveted my Phoenix Blood Sword. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Fei charged out fearlessly. He threw out a punch with his left hand and a sword with his right hand. He started to fight with the 3 experts of the Merchant Alliance. He once again felt how good it was to have the spiritual consciousness of a holy master in his body. No wonder when Elder Sword Maniac gave me this spiritual consciousness, Wang Bai mocked him for throwing away a watermelon for picking up a sesame seed. With this spiritual consciousness, Yi Fei wasn't afraid of any spiritual consciousness attack. For example, Shanglua's illusion technique didn't have much of an effect on Yi Fei. At the same time, the strong senses allowed Yi Fei to sense danger like a wild beast. When Yi Fei was fighting with the Golden Bone Messenger of the Dark Sky Sect, he felt that he was being spied on. Therefore, he pretended to be injured and retreated. Then, he secretly came back to attack. Then, he saw the experts of the Merchant Alliance in the sky. Shangluo also saw Yi Fei. Her beautiful face was filled with disbelief. Yi Fei, it's you. You actually saw through my illusion technique again. That's right, it's me. Little girl, I warned you not to provoke me. Since the Merchant Alliance betrayed me and tried to steal my Phoenix Blood Sword, don't blame me for being ruthless. Sky-burying technique. Yi Fei didn't have any intention of fighting with the experts of the Merchant Alliance. He used his strongest sword technique and used the power of the Phoenix Blood Sword to seal the 3 experts of the Merchant Alliance. Then Yi Fei kicked them one after another. Their ribs were caved in and they fell from the sky as blood. Yi Fei, you're crazy. It's not enough that you've offended the Heavenly Een cult. If you offend the Merchant Alliance, you won't have a place in the entire northern region. Miss Mississippi. Seeing that Yi Fei had taken care of 3 people so quickly, the remaining 2 experts did not dare to be careless. They hurriedly rushed forward, attempting to stall Yi Fei and buy time for Shang Luo to escape. Scram! Of course, Yi Fei would not let Shang Luo escape. After all, there was still a martial king expert in Great Shang City. Yi Fei decided to end the battle quickly. He ignored the attacks of the two and directly rushed towards Shang Luo. "You're courting death." The two experts of the Merchant Alliance were enraged. They were rank 3 martial honorable heavens, but Yi Fei ignored them. They furiously charged at Yi Fei. Boom! The Phoenix Blood Sword suddenly turned around. Yi Fei didn't even turn his head. The Phoenix Blood Sword accurately pierced the two experts of the Merchant Alliance. Blood splattered. The two experts of the Merchant Alliance were also slashed down from the sky by Yi Fei. Rank 3 martial honorable heavens were not Yi Fei's match in front of the powerful Phoenix Blood Sword. "You actually killed my bodyguard. Yi Fei, you bastard. I'm going to fight it out with you." 10,000 phenomena. 100 ghosts parade. Woo 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 woo. The entire sky suddenly became eerie and sinister. Just by taking a step forward, the surrounding space became even more frightening than hell. Countless ghosts roared. They bared their fangs and stretched out their claws as they pounced at Yi Fei. Shangluo, who had released this attack, was not in a hurry to escape. Instead, she charged into the sky and prepared to save her 3 injured subordinate. "Big Miss, be careful." At this moment, the 3 heavily injured experts of the Merchant Alliance looked behind Shangluo in fear. Unknowingly, Yi Fei had already ignored the 10,000 phenomena created by Shangluo. He endured the attacks of countless ghosts and vengeful spirits, and directly arrived behind Shangluo. The Phoenix Blood Sword mercilessly stretched out and aimed at Shangluo's buttocks and fiercely slapped down. Shangluo felt a sharp pain in her buttocks as if they were about to be smashed into pieces. She was no longer able to maintain her image as a beautiful young lady. With a bang, Shangluo was ungracefully slapped down to the ground from the sky by Yi Fei's sword. Her image changed from a beautiful young lady to a teary little loli. She looked at Yi Fei furiously and said, "Yi Fei, how dare you hit me there? Where did I hit you? Tell me if you have the ability." Yi Fei stood in front of Shangluo and asked condescendingly. If not for the fact that Shangluo was a little girl, Yi Fei would not have killed her. Just based on the fact that the Merchant Alliance dared to betray him and even had designs on the Phoenix Blood Sword, Yi Fei's attack just now would not have been aimed at Shangluo's buttocks. He could have killed her directly. Unfortunately, Yi Fei was too young and the Merchant Alliance was more powerful than the Holy Master and the Heavenly Een cult. If he offended the Heavenly Een cult and the Merchant Alliance at the same time, he would not be able to withstand the pursuit of these two superpowers no matter how strong he was. Therefore, Yi Fei decided to teach these people a lesson and vent his anger. Sensing that Yi Fei did not have the intention to kill her, and seeing that her 2 injured subordinates were only injured by the Phoenix Blood Sword and were not dead yet, Shangluo blushed and stammered for a long time. In the end, she was too embarrassed to tell them that Yi Fei had hit her there. However, Shangluo's eyes were still spitting fire. She glared at Yi Fei and asked, "How can you see through my illusion and not be affected by myriad phenomena?" This was something that Shang Luo urgently wanted to figure out. After all, since she'd arrived at the Northern Territory, she'd relied on her superb illusory arts and Shang Luo, this little loli, to play countless young geniuses in circles, causing countless people to have unrequited love because of Fairy Luo. Only Yi Fei was not affected by her illusion skills. Not only did she fail to fool Yi Fei, but she was also hit there by Yi Fei. Even if her subordinates did not see it, Shangluo still roared madly. "You won't even let a little girl go. Yi Fei, you are actually such a beast." Shangluo's eyes were brimming with tears. If looks could kill, she would definitely turn Yi Fei into ashes. To be honest, Yi Fei could not help but blush when he was criticized by a little girl. Fortunately, he was thick-skinned enough. Yi Fei continued to keep a straight face and said coldly, You still dare to be stubborn. Not only did your merchant union betray me, you even dared to have designs on my phoenix blood sword. You still think you are in the right? It seems like I haven't taught you a lesson yet. With that, Yi Fei strode towards Shangluo and was about to continue his attack. Shangluo jumped up in fright. She covered her buttocks and shouted angrily, Yi Fei, if you dare to hit me, our merchant union will definitely not let you off. My third uncle will definitely not let you off either. I see. You reminded me. Since I have already hit you, I reckon the merchant union and your third uncle will not let me off either. Since I have already hit you, it doesn't matter if I hit you once or twice. Since I am still fine, let's have a good fight once and for all. Yi Fei sneered as he continued to press forward, scaring Shang Luo so much that his face turned deathly pale. Just that sword strike from before had already caused Shang Luo to feel that his body had suffered a heavy injury. He hadn't expected that Yi Fei's one strike wasn't enough and wanted to strike him many more times. Chapter 338. Interest. First, Shang Luo could clearly feel the pain coming from his body. He could feel how painful and heavy Yi Fei's strike was. If he was hit by Yi Fei a few more times, he would probably be injured. Shang Luo was the eldest daughter of the merchant union. She couldn't bear such humiliation. If she was really hit by Yi Fei, she might as well kill herself. Therefore, before Yi Fei could approach her, Shang Luo quickly retreated. For every step Yi Fei took forward, she would quickly take a step back. She didn't forget to threaten him. Yi Fei, you know your current situation. Offending the Heavenly Yin sect has already put you in a difficult situation. Our merchant union is more powerful than the Heavenly Yin sect. You have to think carefully about the consequences of offending the merchant union. Thank you for your concern, eldest Mississippi. I've already thought about the consequences. Since I've hit you, I have no way out. Let's just fight to the end. Yi Fei continued to approach her. He felt that this little girl in front of him was too unruly. It was good to scare her now to vent his anger. What? You still want to fight? Shang Luo turned pale with fright. How could she meet such a shameless person? In the past, all the young geniuses were either shocked by her beauty or the enormous power of the merchant union, so they treated her with respect and courtesy. Since she met Yi Fei, Shangluo knew what it meant to be barbaric and impenetrable. Shangluo couldn't help but become more nervous. The 5 injured masters of the merchant union also looked at Yi Fei in horror. After all, they were responsible for protecting Shangluo. If anything happened to Shangluo, they would be the first to be punished by the merchant union. Seeing that their threats were ineffective, one of the guards suddenly had an idea and said loudly, Senior Yi, please wait. This time, it's our merchant union's fault. We're willing to compensate Senior Yi. Please show mercy. Yes, compensation. We're willing to compensate Senior Yi for his loss. The other 4 bodyguards nodded in agreement. They didn't know what Yi Fei was going to do to Shangluo. However, as a bodyguard, if Shangluo lost a single strand of hair, the 3rd master in Great Shang City would probably pull off a layer of their skin. No one dared to take such a risk. They could only hope to make some compensation to appease Yi Fei's anger. Compensation? What can you compensate me with? Let's make it clear. I won't accept anything that isn't Heaven Grade 3 or above. Yi Fei finally reacted. Shangluo was the eldest daughter of the Merchant Alliance, and the Merchant Alliance was a rich and powerful force. Compared to bullying a little girl, using Shangluo to get some Heaven-grade elixir pills from the Merchant Union was definitely a better deal. Heaven-grade 3 elixir pills, right? No problem. As long as you let us go, I, Shangluo, guarantee that when we return to Great Shang City, we'll immediately give you 150, no, 200 Heaven Grade 3 martial honorable pills. Shangluo rolled her eyes when she heard this. She understood that Yi Fei was someone who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. She quickly promised him some benefits and tried to trick Yi Fei into returning to Great Shang City. I'll endure it for now. First, I'll keep this bastard in check. It'll be best if I can trick him into returning to Great Shang City. With third uncle there, he can suppress him with one hand. At that time, not only will the Phoenix blood sword be mine, I'll also personally feed him a few bowls of dog food. Shanglua's eldest daughter was roaring in her heart. However, on the surface, she looked pitiful, like a frightened little girl. It was very easy for people to let down their guard. Little girl, you can't be thinking of temporarily keeping me in check so that you can trick me into returning to Great Shang City, right? Yi Fei looked at Shanglua in confusion. Although this eldest daughter was young, she was able to play around with a large group of young talent. It was clear that she was very capable. Not only would Yi Fei not let down his guard when dealing with such a mischievous little girl, he would even be more careful. How can that be? I can swear on my reputation as the eldest daughter of the Merchant Union that as long as you let us go and return to Great Shang City, I'll definitely give you compensation. As Shanglua spoke, she kept wiping away her tears. Even the guards felt sorry for her. Yi Fei looked at the little lowly, who was pretending to cry, and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Little girl, this trick of yours is useless against me. I remember you said last time that the Merchant Union would not reveal my whereabouts. In the end, I just left, and you sold me out right after? That's not the same. I didn't plan on selling you out. I just wanted the Heavenly Een cult to teach you a lesson in advance." Shanglua started to argue with him with a red face. Yi Fei coldly interrupted her, "That's all? Your true goal is probably for me to fight with the Heavenly Een cult until both sides are injured. Then, you'll be the third party to reap the benefit. If you come out and save me, not only will you obtain my gratitude, but you'll also be able to snatch my Phoenix blood sword." "You saw through it long ago?" Shanglua suddenly felt a sense of defeat. She hadn't thought that Yi Fei would see through her plan so easily. Yi Fei nodded and then shook his head. He didn't have any grudges with the Merchant Union. There were only two reasons why the Merchant Union would sell him out. First, the Heavenly Een cult had given the Merchant Union enough benefits, and the Merchant Union had sold him out for these benefits. Second, the Merchant Union had changed their recruitment strategy and wanted to use the Heavenly Een cult to force him into a corner. Now that the Merchant Union had appeared, Yi Fei had no choice but to join the Merchant Union. Shang Luo's words only proved his conjecture. Since the Merchant Union was willing to compensate him, Yi Fei wouldn't let go of this opportunity to make a profit. "You guys, hand over your interspatial bags." Yi Fei looked at the 5 guards. The 5 of them were all third-level martial honorables, so they should have a lot of good things on them. Seeing that Yi Fei was shamelessly robbing them, the 5 guards were so angry that their faces turned ashen. They helplessly looked at the Phoenix blood sword in Yi Fei's hand. They simply couldn't resist. They could only hand over their interspatial bags to Yi Fei, their bodies trembling with anger. Then, they looked at Yi Fei and said, "Senior Yi, you've already taken our interspatial bags. Now, you should release us and the eldest Mississippi. No, didn't we agree on 200 third-grade heaven-ranked martial honorable elixirs? You haven't given it to me yet, so how can I let you go so easily?" Yi Fei said righteously. The 5 guards cursed angrily. "We've seen shameless people, but we've never seen someone as shameless as you. Not only did you rob us, you also want to kidnap the eldest miss?" Yi Fei shook his head and said, "I don't have the bad taste of kidnapping little girls. However, I need to collect some interest in advance to prevent you guys from going back on your word. How about this? I see that the eldest Miss's interspatial ring is pretty good, so I'll reluctantly accept it as interest." "Yi Fei, you're really a barbaric and shameless bastard. Not only did you rob my guards, you even want to rob a little girl like me. I'll never give you my interspatial ring." Shanglua was so angry that she jumped more than 10 meters into the air. She quickly took out the amulet that her third uncle had given her from her interspatial ring and was about to release it at Yi Fei. At this moment, the surrounding space froze. Yi Fei easily used the heaven-burying technique to suppress Shanglua, who was only a first-level martial honorable. Chapter 339. Getting rich in silence. However, he could not bear it. When it was time to act, he had to act quickly. Right now, Yi Fei was in dire need of cultivation resources. It was rare for him to meet such a fat sheep like the eldest miss of Shanglua. Even though she was just a little girl, Yi Fei still felt guilty. He quickly rushed to Shanglua's side, grabbed her hand and took off her ring. "Miss, don't look at me like that. You guys provoked me first. I'm just asking for a little compensation. Of course, if you've prepared 200 heaven-level pills, you can contact me at any time. When I'm free, I'll return the ring to you." Ignoring Shanglua's furious gaze, Yi Fei quickly took the space ring. He sighed in his heart. She is indeed the eldest miss of the Merchant Alliance. Not only did she break through to the martial honorable realm at such a young age, she even has a space ring. Such a precious treasure. If not for the 200 heaven-class elixirs, I would not bear to return it. What is that? Yi Fei was not satisfied with snatching the little girl's space ring. He glanced at Shanglua's right hand and saw a talisman with a shocking amount of spiritual energy. Yi Fei sighed. "Forget it. Since I already snatched it, I don't feel so guilty anymore. I will take this talisman with me." Yi Fei felt at ease and snatched Shanglua's talisman. Seeing that there were no more treasures on the little girl's body, Yi Fei turned and left. He did not look back and rushed into the sky. At the same time, he removed the suppression on Shanglua. This scene left the 5 experts of the Merchant Union dumbstruck. Shangluo, the eldest daughter of the Merchant Union, was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She had always been the one who made fun of others. Since when had she, Luo Xianzi, ever been made fun of? Shanglua had just regained her ability to speak when she screamed in a high-pitched voice. I'm so angry. Yi Fei, don't you dare run away. You even dare to snatch a little girl. What kind of man are you? When I catch you, I'll kill you 10,000 times over. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and prepare 200 heaven-grade poison pills. Even if I can't beat him, I'll poison him to death. If he dares to peek at the things in my ring, I will kill him 1,000,000 times over. Shanglua seemed to have thought of something bad. After his anger subsided, a look of worry and fear appeared on his face. Unfortunately, Yi Fei, who was already far away, would not know. After flying in the sky for 3 days, they were sure that they were out of the great Shang city's sphere of influence, and they didn't find any traces of the heavenly Yin cult in the surroundings. In the end, Yi Fei settled down in a very remote town. It was an ordinary town that did not even have a martial master. It was very suitable for Yi Fei to settle down. After finding an inn and eating something, Yi Fei eagerly rushed into his room and began to count his spoils of war. Originally, the golden space bag of the Golden Bone Envoy was a very good item. However, Yi Fei was a little reluctant to waste it since he already had a higher-grade space ring. When he opened the space bag of the Golden Bone Envoy, Yi Fei was overjoyed. So many spiritual crystals and jade blood pills. There is even a low-grade spiritual stone, as expected of the Golden Bone Envoy of the Heavenly Yin cult. Unfortunately, as the other White Bone Envoys had all self-destructed, even their space bags had been destroyed. Yi Fei did not obtain anything. Yi Fei felt a pang of pain in his heart. Those were all cultivation resources. It was too wasteful. Finally, after counting, Yi Fei found a total of 100,000 spiritual crystals, 500 heaven-grade 1 pills, jade blood pills and a low-grade spiritual stone in the space bag of the Golden Bone Envoy. These were the things that he needed to break through to the martial honorable realm. After that, Yi Fei opened the space bags of the 5 experts from the Merchant Alliance. Damn, these people are so poor. Not only do they have no spiritual crystals, they also have very few heaven-grade pills. Yi Fei was depressed. The experts from the Merchant Alliance looked very strong, but they did not have many things in their space bags. Even with the 5 of them together, Yi Fei only found 100 heaven-grade 2 condensing pills. There were also a bunch of low-grade treasures and profound weapons. He did not even bother to look at them. He threw them all to a corner. Finally, Yi Fei's gaze focused on the jade amulet that he had snatched from the eldest miss of Shanglu. With Yi Fei's eyesight, he could tell at a glance that this jade amulet was the same as the invisibility amulet that Huang had set up. It was a high-level amulet that had been added by an expert. Normally, only a Martial King Realm expert could make such an amulet. Yi Fei guessed that this jade amulet could be an offensive amulet based on the pattern of the jade amulet. As for how powerful it was, Yi Fei did not have the time to test it out. However, since the eldest miss of the Merchant Alliance carried it with her, the amulet's power must be on par with the invisibility amulet. If I meet a powerful expert in the future, I can throw it out to test it. After carefully keeping the jade amulet, Yi Fei started to use brute force to forcefully destroy the spiritual imprint on the space ring. Bam! After all, the eldest miss of Shangluo was only a rank 1 martial honorable, and her mental strength was not strong. After half a day, Yi Fei had already erased all the spiritual imprints on the space ring and opened it. The space inside the space ring was beyond Yi Fei's expectations. The space inside the space ring was equivalent to the total space of 10 golden space bags. Yi Fei's eyes lit up. As expected of the space ring. It is indeed extraordinary. I wonder what treasures the eldest miss of Shangluo kept in it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With a thought, Yi Fei found a heavy wooden box in the space ring. He quickly released it and opened it. Then, Yi Fei could not help but swallow his saliva. Holy shit, there's a total of 50 mid-grade spirit stones. According to the calculation, 1 lower spiritual stone could be exchanged for 10,000 spiritual crystals. How many spiritual crystals would 50 medium spiritual stones be exchanged for? Was it 5 million spiritual stones or more? Yi Fei was dumbfounded. Although he knew that as the eldest miss of the Merchant Alliance, Shangluo must have treasures on her, he did not expect that such a young girl would carry such a large sum of money with her. And this wooden box was only the smallest wooden box in the interspatial ring. Inside, Yi Fei discovered 4 wooden boxes that were even larger than this one. Yi Fei could not wait to take out the other boxes. When he opened the first one, Yi Fei's face darkened. When he opened the second one, Yi Fei was speechless. When he opened the third one, Yi Fei almost fainted. When he opened the fourth one, Yi Fei took out a girl's underwear. When Yi Fei opened the fourth one, he almost vomited blood. F***ck, there were 4 big boxes and they were all filled with clothes. The most distressing one was the last box, which was filled with girls' underwear. Chapter 340. Earth Grade 10-inch. This is going to be difficult. If I knew that there were these things in the ring, why would I rob a little girl? Yi Fei looked at the neatly arranged clothes in front of him. They were the most intimate clothes of the 4 seasons. Even though his skin was as thick as a city wall, he felt his face heat up. If he had only robbed Shangluo's treasures, that could still be explained. But now, he had even unintentionally robbed a little girl's most intimate clothing. Yi Fei could already imagine how furious the little loli of Shangluo was right now. How would the Merchant Alliance react when they found out about this? Unless Yi Fei returned immediately and returned the interspatial ring, there might still be room for negotiation. Otherwise, who knew what kind of terrifying things the little loli would do in her rage? However, after feeling depressed, Yi Fei's gaze involuntarily turned to the 50 mid-grade spirit stones. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Currently, the Tianwu continent's resources were exhausted. There were no more spirit stones to be mined. Most of the remaining spirit stones were brought over by peerless experts from other continents. Only in ancient ruins, tombs, or secret realms left behind by ancient experts could one or two stones be found by chance. For example, the demon sealing tower that suppressed the demon emperor. The body of the infinite heroic spirit king inside was powered by a mid-grade spirit stone. From this, one could see how precious spirit stones were. It wasn't easy for Lin Yun to strike it rich and obtain 50 medium spiritual stones. The opportunity to break through to the martial honorable realm was right in front of him. After much consideration, Yi Fei finally made up his mind. Other than those clothes that made people blush and their hearts race, he would definitely not return the mid-grade spirit stones. That little girl Shang Luo likes to use illusions at every turn, turning into a beautiful girl and showing off everywhere. Even if she has the temperament of a child, she's definitely someone who cares about her reputation. If she dares to mobilize the Merchant Alliance to deal with me, I'll dare to take out all of her undergarments and auction them off. We'll see who loses more then. Although this method was a little dirty, it was the only solution Yi Fei could think of. Immediately, he tidied up the clothes in front of him. Yi Fei picked up half of the middle-grade spiritual stones and activated his undying sword soul to absorb them. Yi Fei did not intend to break through to the martial honorable realm immediately. The higher the realm, the higher the requirement for the quality of the cultivator's dantian. Why would a person with a special constitution have an advantage over an ordinary martial artist? Other than the unique constitution that made it more suitable for one to comprehend the martial path, the quality of one's dantian couldn't be underestimated due to the powerful constitution and bloodline. Now, Yi Fei already knew that the higher the realm one wanted to break through, the higher the requirements for a martial artist's aptitude, perception, and talent represented by the quality of their dantian. I don't have a unique constitution. I'm just an ordinary martial artist. My aptitude can't be compared to those geniuses with unique constitutions. If I want to break through to a higher realm, the only thing I can do is to rely on the undying sword soul to increase my perception and the quality of my dantian. As long as my perception and talent are increased, I don't believe that I can't be compared to those geniuses. I don't believe that an ordinary martial artist can't reach the peak of the martial path. Boom! As Yi Fei thought to himself, he grabbed the spiritual stones in his hand one by one and used his undying sword soul to absorb them. 9 black halos surrounded Yi Fei's body and shone with a mysterious black light. These halos represented the quality of Yi Fei's dantian. Earth Grade 9. However, it wasn't enough. With sufficient cultivation resources, Yi Fei's goal was to increase. Therefore, Yi Fei decided to increase the quality of his dantian to Earth Grade 10 before attempting to break through to the Martial Saint realm. As for why Yi Fei didn't directly increase the quality of his dantian from Earth Grade to Heaven Grade, it wasn't that Yi Fei didn't want to, but that he couldn't. Not to mention the astronomical amount of cultivation resources required to advance from Earth Grade to Heaven Grade, Yi Fei had never heard of anyone with Heaven-grade talent in the entire 18 countries of the Northern Sea. Even Nan Ruofeng, who could cover the sky with one hand in the Sacred Land, only had a Earth-grade 10 talent. Of course, this didn't mean that there weren't any Heaven-grade geniuses in the Tianwu continent. Yi Fei vaguely remembered that Jing Wushou had mentioned that there were some Heaven-grade geniuses in some places in the Middle Continent. At the same time, this group of people were already the peak geniuses in the entire continent. Even Nan Ruofeng had to look up to them. In the inn, Yi Fei was diligently cultivating. Inside Dashang City, Shanglua's eldest sister had a dark expression on her face as she glared at the group of business alliance leaders. Where's Yi Fei? That bastard who bullied little girls? Where the hell did he go? I've given you guys 3 days to find him, but you guys haven't found a single clue. Are you trying to anger me to death? Missy, please calm down. That Yi Fei is not only crazy, he's also extremely cunning. We have already informed all the branches to pay attention to his movements. Once he appears, we will definitely receive news. More than 10 martial honorable realm leaders all knelt down. Shangluo was instantly enraged when she heard this. She couldn't maintain her elegant image anymore. Bang! An angry little girl appeared in front of everyone. She slammed the table and kicked the chair. Her eyebrows were furrowed as she coldly snorted. Why, am I very old? Do I not look like a beautiful girl from a big family? Tell me, who am I? Yes, Missy, you are the #1 beauty in Sky Martial Continent, Fairy Luo. All the young talents will kneel down at Missy's feet and happily eat dog food. They had no choice but to recite this slogan that they had repeated countless times. Even the martial honorable realm experts' faces were filled with black lines. Shangluo then smiled with satisfaction. With a bang, she changed from a little girl to an elegant young lady. Her face even revealed a rare blush. It's already been 3 days. That bastard, why hasn't he come to ask for the heaven rank elixir? Oh no, he wouldn't take my ring and do something disgusting, right? Shang Luo suddenly thought of something and her beautiful face turned pale. She was extremely worried. Those spirit stones were one thing, but the most important thing was that the clothes in the ring were all her personal belongings. She could almost imagine Yi Fei holding those things and sniffing them around. Shang Luo shuddered and her heart was burning with anxiety. She could no longer care about anything else and rushed to the deepest part of Great Shang City like she was flying. At the same time, in the inn, boom! As the 20th middle spiritual stone was absorbed by the immortal sword spirit, Yi Fei suddenly felt a huge tremor in his body. It was as if his entire dantian had exploded. Boom! A black halo that was even more dazzling than the previous 9 appeared on Yi Fei's body. It formed into 10 halos and whistled. 10 rings dantian, rank 10 earth rank. I have finally reached it. Nan Ruofeng, my talent is not as good as yours, but in terms of comprehension and talent, I will not lose to you. I will not lose to anyone. Chapter 341. Breaking through to martial Honorable Yi Fei then started to check the consumption of the spiritual stones. He was shocked when he checked. He had used up half of the 50 medium spiritual stones to break through to rank 10D rank. The consumption was terrifying. Yi Fei felt his heart ache. That was more than 2 million spiritual crystals. The consumption would be even more shocking if he wanted to break through to the martial honorable realm. No wonder the old mansion master was unable to break through to the martial honorable realm even after a few decades. The consumption of spiritual stones to break through to the martial honorable realm is too terrifying. Apart from the Holy Lands or the entire country, it would be extremely difficult for an ordinary martial artist to break through to the martial honorable realm. Immediately, Yi Fei no longer dared to recklessly use these mid-grade spirit stones. Fortunately, in addition to the spirit stones, he also had many spirit crystals, heaven-level pills, and some spirit herbs. These things all contain spiritual qi. The total amount should be enough for me to break through to the martial honorable realm. I should break through to the martial honorable realm now before the heavenly religions experts catch up. Yi Fei took a deep breath and placed the spiritual stones aside. He then took out all the spiritual crystals he had and started to cultivate the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor Scripture. As long as I can cultivate the Demon Emperor Scripture to the 3rd level, my battle demon golden body will also break through to the 3rd level. Then, I will be able to withstand the attacks of martial honorable realm expert. I will have an advantage against the heavenly religion's golden bone envoys and the Commerce Alliance. Yi Fei slowly immersed himself in his cultivation. A large group of uninvited guests came to Dashang City. They were the heavenly religion's experts who were in charge of hunting down Yi Fei. There were 3 golden bone envoys who were rank 7 martial honorable realm and above. Of course, strictly speaking, there were 4 golden bone envoys who were in charge of hunting down Yi Fei and 100 white bone envoys. It could be seen that Nangong Long's death had a huge impact on the heavenly religion. The heavenly religion did not know that the Phoenix blood sword had fallen into Yi Fei's hands. If they knew, not only the golden bone envoys but also the martial king experts of the heavenly religion would rush out to hunt down Yi Fei. Damn it, why hasn't the other golden bone emissary arrived yet? The 3 golden bone emissaries had gathered together, but they still hadn't waited for their 4th companion. They were all a little angry. Activate the voice transmission talisman and contact him quickly. One of the golden bone emissaries impatiently took out a voice transmission talisman and prepared to contact his late companion. Of course, the sound transmission talisman couldn't get through. Not only the golden bone emissary, even his dozen or so subordinates couldn't be contacted. There was only one possibility for such a situation, and that was that this golden bone envoy and the dozen or so white bone envoys had all died in battle. How is this possible? Is Yi Fei really that heaven-defying? Even a rank 7 martial honorable expert is no match for him? It's even better if that trash dies. 7th level martial honorable, if he didn't rely on his connections and went through the back door, he wouldn't have been able to become a golden bone envoy. Now that he's dead, we can kill Yi Fei and obtain the sect leader's appreciation. However, since Yi Fei can kill the golden bone envoys, the ancient beast mark on his body must be very powerful. We must be careful. In the eyes of the 3 golden bone envoys, Yi Fei was only a half-step martial honorable. He probably wasn't even a match for the ordinary white bone envoys. The only thing that the golden bone envoys were wary of was the ancient beast mark on Yi Fei's body. It was said that it could even suppress the Empress Dowager. It was also because of this that the Heavenly sect had sent so many experts to hunt down Yi Fei. Aside from avenging Nangong Long, the Heavenly sect was also very interested in the ancient beast mark on Yi Fei. The 3 golden bone envoys exchanged glances. The 10th layer Martial Highness leading the group said in a cold tone, "Everyone, what should we do?" Even a 7th layer Martial Highness was killed. It seems like the beast seal on Yi Fei's body is not to be underestimated. What else can we do? No matter how powerful the ancient beast mark is, how much power can Yi Fei unleash with his insignificant strength? Now that the 3 of us are rank 10 martial honorables, it will be easy for us to kill Yi Fei. Since everyone agrees, let's set off now and hunt down Yi Fei. As long as the golden space bag is still in his hands, we will be able to track him down using a secret technique. The 3 golden bone envoys were rank 10 martial honorables, and they were very arrogant. Even though they knew that Yi Fei had the ability to kill the golden bone envoys, they were not afraid. Instead, they were all excited. After all, the stronger Yi Fei was, the more rewards they would reap when they captured Yi Fei. After all, the dead golden bone envoys were the weakest among them. A rank 7 martial honorable was incomparable to a rank 10 martial honorable. After all, the 3 golden bone envoys were only one step away from becoming martial kings. Even though Yi Fei had the Phoenix blood sword, he would definitely die if he encountered them. As for the ancient beast mark that the 3 golden bone envoys were worried about, Yi Fei had no idea how to use it. Just like that, a great crisis quietly and gradually enveloped the inn where Yi Fei was hiding. In the inn, Yi Fei did not know that the golden bone envoy's space bag had the unique mark of the dark sky sect on it. By following the mark, they would be able to sense him once they were within a certain range. Therefore, Yi Fei was still immersed in his cultivation. Soon, the Demon Emperor scripture was activated to its maximum. A large number of spiritual crystals turned into powder and the spiritual qi within them whizzed into Yi Fei's body. It seemed that the speed of his cultivation was not fast enough. With a thought, Yi Fei suddenly released the devouring sword intent from his cultivation. A pitch-black hole appeared above Yi Fei's head and cooperated with Yi Fei to absorb the spiritual qi from the spiritual crystals. Then, he used the Demon Emperor scripture to convert the spiritual qi into the true origin that he needed. Another 3 days passed by quickly. Boom. Finally, Yi Fei felt that his body had been filled with true origin to the point of swelling. He finally tried to break through to the martial honorable realm for the first time. He circulated the Demon Emperor's scripture, and the terrifying true origin roared like a torrential river as it charged towards the mysterious martial path barrier in his body. Boom! The huge impact caused the peaceful small city to tremble slightly. The poor people living in the small city all had terrified expressions on their faces. They rushed out of their houses, thinking that there was an earthquake. Only a small number of cultivators had horrified expressions on their faces as they rushed to the inn in the middle of the city. What's happening? There are martial path experts trying to break through here. This kind of earth-shattering action might be someone trying to break through to the martial honorable realm. What? Martial honorable realm? That's a godlike existence. Which senior is here? Please accept this old man as your disciple. All the cultivators in the city went crazy as they rushed to the inn. They all wanted to be the first to witness the birth of a martial honorable realm expert. Of course, most of them hoped that Yi Fei would give them some pointers. However, before they could get close, boom. Chapter 342. Shang San Yi, Martial Saint. He really is a martial saint. I didn't expect him to be so young. The cultivators in the small city, who rushed over after hearing the news, were all shocked. They stared blankly at Yi Fei, who was slowly walking out of the ruins. They could feel the tsunami-like quintessence fluctuations coming from Yi Fei's body. Many of them were so shocked that they could not speak. What? The cultivators did not say anything. However, the youngest son of the inn's owner was so frightened that he started crying, "Father, our inn has been destroyed. We are going to be homeless." Woo woo woo. The child was only a few years old and did not know how terrifying a martial saint was. He only saw Yi Fei staying in his house and not paying for his meals. Now, he even turned the inn into ruins. The child was both angry and frightened and could not help but start crying. This frightened the inn's owner, a middle-aged man of fighter 10th layer, and he ran over in fear. He covered his youngest son's mouth tightly and knelt down before Yi Fei. "Senior, please forgive me. My son is not sensible and offended you. Please have mercy on him." Am I that scary? Seeing the inn's owner break out in cold sweat, Yi Fei suddenly felt depressed. He finally understood the feeling of being at the top. Destroying the inn was just an unintentional act of him breaking through to martial saint. However, in the eyes of the inn's owner and the other low-level cultivators, the current Yi Fei was as terrifying as a flood or a ferocious beast. However, in the end, he was the one who stayed in the inn. Not only did he not pay, but he also destroyed the inn. It was somewhat unreasonable. Yi Fei was not an unreasonable person. On the contrary, he was the same as the innkeeper in front of him. He had climbed up step by step from the bottom. He could understand the hardships of these low-level cultivators. Fortunately, he still had some spare clothes on him that he did not need. Yi Fei walked over to the inn's owner and threw him a space. "There are 100 Earth-grade medicinal pills in there. If you don't mind, I will give them all to you." Yi Fei's current cultivation level was high, and so was his outlook. Even if it was an Earth-grade pill, he wouldn't care about it. It was useless for him to keep it anyway, so it could be used to compensate for the inn owner's loss. The boss was so excited that his entire body trembled. He happily pressed down on his son's head and kowtowed to Yi Fei crazily. Senior, you are a good person. 100 Earth-grade pills. This lowly one wouldn't even dare to dream of it. How could I accept it? Since it's for you, just take it. Is there anyone who dares to snatch it from you? Yi Fei glanced around. Many martial artists who were jealous of the innkeeper were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. How would we dare to snatch Senior's gift? That's right. Zhang Laosan, your son is really lucky to have caught the eye of a senior. In the future, your son will definitely have a meteoric rise. The jealous warriors nearby also changed their words. Zhang Laosan beamed with joy. He quickly pulled his youngest son and kowtowed to Yi Fei. Then, he happily received the space bag. Just the 100 Earth-grade pills in the space bag was enough for Zhang Laosan to open an inn and earn money for the rest of his life. This was also a fortuitous encounter that belonged to Zhang Laosan. The child who was originally crying also looked at Yi Fei with a gaze that changed from fear to joy. Although the surrounding martial artists were jealous, they didn't have any evil intentions. Yi Fei nodded to himself. It looks like the customs of this small city are pretty good. It's not like our Black Rock City, where people are scheming against each other everywhere. Forget it. It's fate that brought us together. You were disturbed earlier. I'll give you these things as compensation. Breaking through to Martial Saint put Yi Fei in a very good mood. He might as well be a tycoon for once. He took out all the junk he didn't need and threw them out for these martial artists to choose from. He completely satisfied the addiction of being a senior expert. The entire small city immediately became as lively as it was the new year. After expressing their gratitude to Yi Fei, these martial artists rushed over in high spirits and began to choose the junk they didn't want. Low-grade pills, elixirs, and supreme-grade profound-level weapons. Just these things alone were enough to make this small city strong for the next few decades. All the martial artists who received these treasures were filled with gratitude towards Yi Fei. In the sky, a middle-aged man with exploding hair and crazy eyes suddenly appeared on the city wall. He looked at the lively scene in the small city. Then, he looked at Yi Fei's generous act of disaster relief. With a slight lift of his foot, he actually crossed a distance of a few thousand meters and suddenly appeared beside Yi Fei. He laughed heartily and said, "Ha ha ha, interesting, interesting. Young man, this is just a small earthquake. You're actually willing to spend so much money to provide disaster relief. Since that's the case, I, Third Master Shang, can't be stingy. You can take these things too." Third Master Shang raised his hand and a rain of spiritual crystals suddenly fell from the sky. Those were real spiritual crystals and they fell all over the small city. Third Master Shang, who had suddenly appeared, had thrown out at least 1,000,000 spiritual crystals just for this rain of spiritual crystals. That was a whole 1,000,000 spiritual crystals. Yi Fei's eyes turned red. He suddenly had an impulse to rob this man. Then, Yi Fei couldn't help but shiver. It seems that I've become addicted to robbing. I actually want to rob a martial king. That's right. Yi Fei sensed that Third Master Shang's aura was even more terrifying than Nan Ruofeng's. How could he not know that he was a real martial king? If they really fought, Third Master Shang could probably kill him with a slap. Now, he had appeared beside him without a sound. Yi Fei suddenly became alert. He looked at Third Master Shang as if he was facing a formidable enemy and asked, "Are you an expert from the Dark Sky sect? Heavenly Shadow Flood Dragon? What kind of dragon is that? Is it delicious?" Third Master Shang looked at Yi Fei in confusion. Suddenly, he thought of something and patted Yi Fei's shoulder. He asked, "Young man, do you know a half-step martial honorable called Yi Fei? That guy bullied my daughter. I'm going to kill him to avenge my daughter." "No, Luluo said that she's not my daughter. I'm her third uncle." "That's strange. She's clearly my daughter. Why would she call me third uncle? Could it be that she's not my biological daughter?" Third Master Shang thought of something and his face changed. He fell to the ground in despair. No one knew what he was thinking. As Yi Fei listened to Third Master Shang's incoherent speech and looked at his afro hair that had not been taken care of for many years, a strange thought suddenly flashed through his mind. This martial king, could it be that he's crazy? Otherwise, how could he not recognize that I'm Yi Fei? How could he misunderstand my actions and think that I'm doing disaster relief? The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Otherwise, no one in their right mind would be like Third Master Shang and throw out 1,000,000 spiritual crystals just to make it rain. Most importantly, he was standing right in front of Third Master Shang. How could Third Master Shang ask him about Yi Fei's whereabouts? Even the mysterious Wang Bai had to admit that he was not as slow as Third Master Shang. However, Yi Fei did not have the guts to ask a martial king for confirmation. He immediately took advantage of the fact that Third Master Shang was still confused and asked if Luo Luo was his biological daughter. Chapter 343. Mad Martial King. However, Yi Fei's extravagant actions had left a deep impression on everyone. Seeing that Yi Fei was about to leave, the naive little boy waved a supreme-grade profound-level weapon at Yi Fei and said, "Uncle, are you leaving?" "Goodbye, Uncle. My father wants me to thank you for your gift." Dong. Hearing the little boy's innocent voice, Yi Fei almost had the urge to fall from the sky. With great difficulty, the mad martial king's thoughts had short-circuited. He was still on the ground thinking about whether Luo Luo was his biological child. This was a very serious question. However, when the little boy sent him off, Third Master Shang came back to his senses. He slapped his head and said happily, "No wonder Luo Luo always scolded me for being silly. I'll go back and ask her whether she's my biological daughter." "Hey, young man, don't go yet. I still have some questions to ask you." Before he finished speaking, Third Master Shang had already disappeared from the ground. This made Yi Fei's hair stand on end. He didn't care whether this martial king was really crazy or not. He was running as fast as he could. Whoosh! Yi Fei immediately used his golden rock wings to the maximum. Even though he had already broken through to martial honor and could fly, flying martial techniques were still useful. They could still increase a martial artist's flying speed to a certain extent. However, compared to the martial ancestor realm, the increase in speed from martial honor realm was not as obvious. However, in order to shake off the martial king's pursuit, Yi Fei couldn't care less. He immediately used all his strength and dashed into the distance, hoping to shake off the martial king's pursuit. At that moment, Third Master Shang appeared at the spot where Yi Fei had left. When he saw Yi Fei's actions, his crazed eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of doubt and murderous intent. This young man ran so fast when he saw me. Could it be that he's actually an enemy who wants to harm Luo Luo? I'll kill anyone who wants to harm Luo Luo. Boom. Third Master Shang immediately prepared to unleash a martial king realm attack to kill Yi Fei. The martial artists in the city were still clueless. Seeing that Yi Fei and Third Master Shang were about to leave, the innkeeper became even more anxious. "Seniors, please leave your names behind. You have done us a great favor. We are willing to engrave longevity tablets for generations to come and worship you." "Yes, please leave your name, Senior." The other martial artists also came to their senses. Regardless of whether it was out of gratitude or because they wanted to befriend them, they also wanted to know the names of Yi Fei and Third Master Shang. These words once again caused Third Master Shang to misunderstand and understand Yi Fei's intention to escape. So that's how it is. He wants to do good deeds without leaving his name. The reason why he ran away so quickly was because he didn't want to leave his name behind. As expected of a warm-hearted young man. It's definitely the right choice to ask him about Yi Fei. Her eyes were filled with admiration for Yi Fei. Boom. Third Master Shang stepped out of the void. With just one step, he traversed through the void. Within a few breaths, he had traversed thousands of meters and was once again in front of Yi Fei, blocking his path. Yi Fei's heart sank and cold sweat rolled down his forehead. The mad martial king's strength was so terrifying. How could he escape? Seeing that Yi Fei was on guard, Third Master Shang quickly retracted his martial king aura and looked like an ordinary person. He scratched his afro and looked at Yi Fei apologetically. "Young man, please don't misunderstand. I mean you no harm. On the contrary, I really admire your warm-hearted character. If I wasn't in a hurry, I would definitely invite you to join." What's this alliance again?" "The Merchant Alliance." Yi Fei probed. "Yes, the Merchant Alliance. Luoluo always says it, why do I always forget?" Third Master Shang scratched his head in frustration. No one would have guessed that he was a powerful martial king. So he is the third uncle that the little girl in Shanglo mentioned. That little girl is quick to take revenge. She immediately sent a martial king to kill me. Fortunately, this person is crazy. Yi Fei was about to vomit blood. He finally understood which side Third Master Shang was on. At the same time, he heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as he wasn't an expert from the Heavenly Yin sect. Yi Fei immediately continued probing. "Senior, from what you said, you seem to be chasing a half-step martial honorable called Yi Fei? Do you have a grudge against him?" "How can I not have a grudge against him? I heard from Luoluo that he bullied her. Anyone who bullies Luoluo is my enemy." Third Master Shang suddenly shouted crazily. His voice formed a huge sound wave. As far as Yi Fei's eyes could see, wherever the sound wave covered, the towering ancient trees were crushed like weeds by the sound wave. At this moment Yi Fei's forehead was sweating. Even his palms were sweating. The mad martial king's strength might be even more terrifying than the sword maniac elders. Yi Fei had only unintentionally robbed that little girl once, and Shang Luo had actually sent such an expert to kill him. Yi Fei suddenly had the impulse to immediately take out all of Shang Luo's undergarments and auction them off. His expression immediately became more cautious. He asked Third Master Shang carefully, "Third Master Shang, since you are chasing after Yi Fei, don't you have a portrait of him?" Yi Fei made a final test. He wanted to confirm whether this person was really crazy or not. Secretly, Yi Fei had already communicated with the undying sword soul. Against a terrifying martial king like Third Master Shang, the Phoenix Blood Sword alone was not enough. If Yi Fei wanted to kill his way out, the only thing he could do was to use the destructive power of the undying sword soul. As for the serious consequences of releasing this destructive force, Yi Fei no longer had the time to think about it at this critical moment. Third Master Shang did not notice Yi Fei's intention. Instead, he heard Yi Fei's reminder. He looked at Yi Fei gratefully and gave him a big thumbs up. "You are indeed a kind-hearted young man. If you didn't remind me, I would have forgotten that Luoluo gave me a portrait of Yi Fei before we came out." Third Master Shang was about to open his infinite space ring and take out the portrait. Yi Fei was also nervous. He quickly opened his golden infinite space bag and prepared to take out the Phoenix Blood Sword and release the undying sword soul. Just then, Third Master Shang suddenly remembered something and his expression changed. "Oh no, I think I accidentally threw the portrait that Luoluo gave me out when I was helping the victims. Daughter, I'm so sorry. Young man, come with me and help me find the portrait." Third Master Shang reached out to pull Yi Fei back. Yi Fei almost vomited blood. He was finally sure that this martial king was really crazy. Moreover, unless he was crazy, he would not go back to look for his portrait. Yi Fei had an idea. He quickly stopped Third Master Shang. "Senior, please don't trouble yourself. As a martial artist, we should not leave our names behind when we do good deeds. If we leave our names behind, would it still be a good deed?" "That's right. Why didn't I think of that? But without the portrait, How am I going to find Yi Fei and fulfill Luolua's request? Third Master Shang looked troubled. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.